What's going on, geeks? How y'all doing this evening? How y'all doing tonight? Hope you had a great day. It is Weigh In Wednesdays. We are grown A geeks. I want to thank everybody who's going to tune in and thank those of you who may have already tuned in. We are doing what we do, having our open forum live chat discussion on Wednesdays. Let me bring one of my co hosts in. He is here. You know him, you love him. Jeffrey, what's going on, man?
What's up? I
We
was on
are.
another I was on another show today, and I noticed every time I come into a show or leave, for some reason I do like Asian girl peace signs. I don't know when I
See,
picked
that's
that
that.
up.
That's that anime. Yay!
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't even watch anime. Maybe it's like Chun. Maybe it's like Chun Li.
There you go. There you go. The fighting
But I
girl.
didn't even like play with Chun Li when I
Was
was
that
playing Street Fighter growing up.
so? When people did a lot of other people play with Chun Li, and so you saw it on the screen a lot because she's a fan favorite. So
You know
there's
what
no
it is?
question.
I was not good. She was one I could not beat. I could not beat
So
her.
that right there is
I
stuck in
saw
your
that a
head.
lot. I
That's
saw
the
that a lot.
see. That's trauma right there. That's trauma. We're working that out. See, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
We get it. We're good
I
over that.
saw that a lot. Her, Ryu,
Mm, yeah,
Vega.
yeah.
I just wasn't
Surprisingly
good
enough,
enough.
you know who I had a hard time with? Zangief. People who mained Zangief were like, that was
See,
one of those
my
characters you had
uncle
to be
main
really
Zangief.
good to main
Yeah,
Zangief.
yeah. My
So I
uncle was he was a big Zangief guy. Like he started out. It was like I got a Super Nintendo, and then I think it was Super Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo for Christmas one year. And so like we're just like playing, and we had Christmas at our house that year because I lived with my grandmother. So it was her son and like his family coming over and other people and stuff. And they hop on Street Fighter and they like, what is this? So like first couple games, because I had already been playing before I even got the game because my cousin had it on my dad's side. So it was like I'm using like family voodoo against them, whatever, because my cousin was playing video games all the time. But they came over, and so the first few games, I'm just like, yeah, I know I'm gonna win, but I'm not gonna like go crazy or nothing like that. So I'm just beating him by beating him up, right?
gotcha.
I just got like Ryu. I'm just kick punch, blah blah blah, jumping, moving around, just trying to play like fast and loose, keep him on his toes because he
Right.
doesn't know like the controls yet, right? And so then as he's going, he's like starting to figure it out a little bit. And I'm like, okay, you putting too many hits on me. And then I hit him with the red fireball. And he was like,
Ah,
hold on, hold up, what is this? And then I was like, yeah, it's the book right here. It's got all the moves in it. And he, for some reason, he just like picked Zangief because I think like his moves are hard to do, but if you land them, they do so much damage. So I think he was one of those like he wasn't trying to have no like long fights. He was trying to like grab you, super suplex you. He did the like spin around, jump off screen one to me one
oh,
time.
the
Yeah,
power, the spinning
I
power
was
bomb.
like, see, he was one of those characters that I couldn't. I could do characters where your moves were like sliding from like it's like either like a half slide or like a quarter slide. But I couldn't do any players where it was like hold back for 2 seconds and then go forward and press B at the same time. Guile couldn't play with him because I could never do the sonic boom.
Mm,
So
okay, okay. So I was good. I could do the flash kick really well, and like characters like Right. I mean, in a sense, Ryu is perhaps one of the most basic characters. He's very simple. Most of his controller configurations are quite simple as far, and it's kind of like you were saying as far as like the maneuvering the joystick. David and I actually had a whole discussion on that, and he was telling me that they talk about in the fighting game community, um, the neutral position for the character is a 5, and so moves are like if you do a, what did he call it, like it's a 4-2-3, which is basically like back and around, stuff like that. So I mean, those types of movements were pretty easy for me, and I was able to do that kind of stuff. So that was cool. And you know, I was really really, really good with characters like Ryu, and that's what
Yeah.
it was. So that was always basic for me. But
I
Zangief
was,
was my
you
hard
know who
cap.
my person was for real, for real?
What was that?
Cammy.
Oh yeah, Cammy.
I
Cammy
like,
was the
I
truth.
like that. I like that. Cammy like played like Ryu, but fought like Guile, just faster. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like even her special moves were all just like suplexes and like the cannon drill. It's like the cannon drill is the same like button combination as Ryu's fireball, but it's just like an easier move to get off. Like if I get you in that
and it covers a
corner,
good bit of screen,
right?
so you can close the gap real good. And then she
Yeah.
has that little whirlwind kick with a split
Yep.
kick.
Yeah.
So you could drill claw in, split kick out, and just start a whole new
Get
combo.
that like Hurricane Rana thing she does too.
Exactly.
That was who I was like when I was really really playing. If I was like I'm about to get serious, I would get Cammy.
So when you started your try hard mode, I got you. I
Yeah.
got you.
And then I went through a phase with like on PlayStation for a little while where I was just like, I didn't want to. I didn't. I was like Super Street Fighter Alpha or something like that. One of those, and I was like, I like this game, but I don't like the actual fighting. So I was just going into like the practice mode and just like trying to just get everybody's move at least one time. Even like the characters that had like those moves where it's like if they catch you, you're like out after like one hit, like with Akira and all that stuff like that. And I'm not Akira, Akuma. Sorry, Akuma. I was just like, I'm gonna just play this. I would just go in and just like practice, but never like play against the computer. And you know, I was like only kid in my house, so I didn't really always have people to play against. I think that's another reason why I didn't like get good. Like getting beat by the computer is like, it's not even like talking shit. It's just like it's making you hate the word like continue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you see like seeing the word continue with like numbers
that,
flashing is traumatic for
that music that they
people.
play as you
And they show a picture of you, like they show a mugshot of you, like with like puffy face.
Right.
Like, you look like you like when Martin was when Martin fought Tommy Hearns.
I remember that.
And how when he came out with the lumpy head at the end,
it looked flattened. Looked like something out of Garbage Pail Kids. So, yeah, that's a nice little throwback, nice little memory. But we've unpacked some of that trauma, and we know why you do your Asian girl piece, and that'll be the new call sign from now on, Asian girl piece.
Girl piece.
This is Weigh In Wednesdays.
I'm gonna make a shirt.
We're gonna jump into all of the different topics that are out there. A couple of things that stood out to me. First off, we gotta talk about Ezra Miller. What the hell? As if DC doesn't already have enough bad press when it comes to their movies and such. Now they've got their actors getting arrested and holding up the process of the movies. Like we needed that Flash movie. We needed that Flash movie to do some good things.
No, we didn't.
I was looking forward to it.
Hold on. I'm posting on IG that we live right now.
Okay, let them know.
But yeah.
I was actually looking forward to the Flash movie. I wanted to see the Batmans on screen together. I wanted to see what they were going to do with Supergirl. I was leaning towards it being a big thing, and I don't feel like Ezra Miller is a big enough star to be pulling the stunts he's pulling.
He's not a star at all. Like he's white famous. You know how like people are black famous?
Yeah.
He's white famous. My grandmother don't know who Ezra Miller is.
Yeah. I could he's got that limited fame. But it's a shame that like his limited fame could derail the whole project. I mean, the movie was already pushed out to like 2023 as it is. And
I mean,
initial filming is supposed to be done, but it's curious to see what's going to happen.
Look,
and
I've said numerous times in the group,
you've never been a fan of Ezra Miller as the Flash.
I don't like. It's not that I don't like Ezra Miller as Barry Allen.
Mm.
His Flash is way more Wally West energy, which I prefer anyway. But let's call a thing a thing. It really feels like he watched Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and was like, I'm gonna do my spin on that. But he missed the episode where they had to like reveal their secret identities to each other. And he missed the
So he
part where it
didn't
was like,
know
this is
which.
Wally West, not Barry Allen.
Gotcha.
So I had an issue with that. I have a big issue with DC trying to use Flashpoint to undo and erase like their blunders. We've just seen in Spider-Man a cinematic universe that earned their undo buttons and redo buttons. We saw it in Endgame and we saw it in Last Spider-Man, right? Like we saw it in Loki. They've earned their right to say, now we can splinter off into other dimensions and parallel universes and tell alternate versions of our stories because we have secured a foundation with the MCU, right? So now we are secure enough to where we can bring in Tobey's Spider-Man. That ain't gonna mess us up. We can bring in Andrew Garfield, even though his movies was bad. Not movies was bad. The second one was poorly written, and they got the Electro character very wrong. And they even fixed that in the MCU.
True.
So not only have we established our own universe, now we're undoing some of the bad things that come before us. The Lord knows what they're gonna. I want to know what they're gonna do with Fantastic Four because sometimes I can't even wrap my head around how you do that right live action. But that's another conversation. Back to DC. Flashpoint is a classic DC story. It is I think I would say for anybody who calls themselves a fan of the DC media verse in any capacity, even just a casual, you know what Flashpoint is. It's like saying Dark Phoenix. It's like saying Civil War. It's like saying
it's one of their biggest stories.
Right. So
and this is after
to fail at establishing a baseline universe and then try to use one of your big stories as a get out of jail free card is very disrespectful. And you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot in the long term because now you're going to have to wait how long before you tell that story again. We've seen this with Dark Phoenix already. They changed it and they messed it all up. And then now when they try to make the second Dark Phoenix, the only thing you can say about it is, well, it wasn't as bad as the first one because at least they kind of got the story right. But they even tried to use that story in the second trilogy to get over. They tried to use Days of Futures Past to like get over like the failure of the Wolverine series. So like
Days of Future Past is a big story for X-Men.
Yeah. It's a big story for comics in general. So my point is you have to honor those stories. You don't use them as like the magician distraction where it's like you're looking at this hand, I'm really reaching in my pocket and pulling the thing out, and then when I come back, you're like, oh snap, bro, where'd that come from? Like Flashpoint is not a distraction. Flashpoint is not a mop. Flashpoint should be something where it is advancing the story. It should be advancing the universe and allowing it to spread out, not trying to close the door on it. We didn't close the door on any of those Spider-Man universes in the last Spider-Man movie, did we?
No.
Do you think we're going to be closing
this? Do you think we're going to revive them, if anything?
We didn't close the door on any universes in Loki, did we?
No.
So we're not. I don't think we're going to be closing the door on universes in Doctor Strange when it comes out. I'd be very
shocked.
I'd be shocked if they were like, this is all about closing ourselves off from the other universes. Ain't no way.
I mean,
So
I can agree, and let me make this point. I can agree that it's a very I think the word bold might be a bit of an understatement, but it's a very bold choice to go right to Flashpoint. And
your first
it's
Flash movie is Flashpoint.
well, I mean, that gets into a whole other agreed. Agreed. But okay, true. The first Flash movie is Flashpoint. Let's not get in. We don't need to rehash the conversation of building your universe and the fact that they've rushed to get to the point where they are. When we saw Batman v Superman, we had the scene there that introduced the potential for Flash to do what we now have being done. It wasn't prepped properly, to use a phrase that we used to hear. The chicken wasn't seasoned right, but somebody threw that bitch in the oven anyway, and we decided we was just gonna let it cook and we was gonna rock with it.
But I don't have to pretend it's good when you feed it to me.
And you don't. And you don't have to pretend it's good.
And I don't always
DC
have to be quiet about the fact that it's not
leaning
good.
Towards edible at this point. And anything, because see, each of
with
the movies,
what's edible that they've made so far
successful up to this point. All the movies that have been successful up to this point are movies that technically are on the fringe of the DCEU. Wonder Woman technically could have been a standalone because it was her origin story. Wonder Woman 84, don't see how any of that ties in, and it wasn't that great a movie. Aquaman, outside of the character introduction, you see what I'm saying? Like Shazam, they had the little cameo at the end, but they didn't even show a face. So everything that's been successful for DC in terms of the acclaim for the movies are all kind of out here on the edge, leaning in.
And even some of the acclaim is more like in comparison to, like, I would say of those movies that you've named, they were all like watchable for sure. Right. But if that's what you're holding up as like the quintessential like quality of your work for the universe, because those are the best movies in the DCEU. But none of them are better than like Guardians of the Galaxy.
But my point being that those movies, as compared to the movies that should have been the setup, those movies almost don't even have to be DCEU movies. Each of those is almost a complete standalone.
So why do we need Flashpoint?
And the thing is, just as a standalone story, Flashpoint could be Flashpoint.
Flashpoint happens because people don't want to admit that they're wrong.
I won't disagree with that.
That's how that happens. Like you just don't have the, as The Rock used to say, testicular fortitude to look yourself in the mirror and say, we tried, we skipped steps. In the long run, we did not accomplish what we set out to do. We need to go in a different direction. And the Batman feels like there's a portion of people who are saying like, maybe we do need to explore this differently, because it's like the Batman, Joker, like you said, Shazam, all these ones that feel more disconnected from the DCEU. Even Wonder Woman feels disconnected because they're both prequels to when we see her start interacting with the Justice League. So none of them are like in the movie. We just know she's not going to die because she's got to live up until Justice League. So,
and I mean, honestly, anytime you do a time travel story, you always run the risk of putting any kind of prequel, anything that is that goes to a certain point. You do take out some of the fear, some of the concern, because you know what's has to be at the end of it.
Right.
And just to use a good example, Rogue One, while it was a fantastic movie, I kind of went in knowing how it was going to end. And that took away some of the gravity of what was happening, because I knew certain things weren't going to be a problem. I hoped that there would be more to this or more to that, but that wasn't the case. I Alex is saying, is a Flashpoint kind of a crisis? In a sense, that is how. Okay, so I believe, based on everything we've read up to this point, that is what the DCEU was doing. Whereas a story like Flashpoint should be an avenue to open up and introduce us to alternate versions of the characters. It should actually expand the universe rather than close it, because just the idea of getting Jeffrey Dean Morgan as an alternate version of Batman, that's all I've looked forward to. And now that he's no longer attached, we know that's not going to happen. But you have the Shazam Kids, where it's like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
Just going from the animated Flashpoint.
Megan Good.
You know what I'm saying? Any reason to have her back on screen. But if you just go by the animated Flashpoint, which is a little different from the comic version, but again, there's always some liberties taken with a lot of these things. It wasn't designed specifically as a reset, as much as it gave them an avenue to explain a multiverse. And with the MCU, with all the Marvel movies, we've had a very clear explanation of the multiverse and what it is and how we got there and why it exists. They dropped a few hints on it here, and then they really broke it down in a couple of places. And, you know, the show Loki was all about the multiverse. And because there are characters who specifically lean into the multiverse, like King the Conqueror, it's a great place to set up and establish stuff for those characters. Where Flashpoint could have actually, that could have given us a setup to get into something like Injustice. It could have given us a setup to get into the Crime Syndicate. It could have given us a setup to deal with something like all these different versions, because one of the biggest problems that DC has is they have a continuity issue even in their comics.
Yeah, that's why they've done like 3 Crisis events, like
so that they can attempt to bring all their comics together, because they had the first like Crisis on Infinite Earths, then they had Infinite Crisis, and then you've got the New 52, which was a separate, and then after the New 52 you have Rebirth. And so look at that.
I bought these when I went to Australia for New Year's one year.
Okay.
And I've just read them on the plane and on the beach.
There you go.
They're very good. I realized I don't know that much about like some of the older DC characters. I had to like do some side Wikipediaing to know like backstories on certain characters, because you know, like what's it? Firestorm is like a heavy player, and this is before Legends of Tomorrow. So I had no clue.
Well, see, he was also like a big character back in I think it was Challenge of the Super Friends.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the original Hanna-Barbera 70s Super Friends.
Right.
But Challenge of the Super Friends, he was a big part of that. And so yeah, I mean it's a big problem with DC shutting the doors regarding Flashpoint. And even though
they're using Flashpoint as a crisis event, like Crisis is when it's like we've got too much going on, we've got 7 Batmans, we've got 5 Supermans, we've got 4 Green Arrows, we have to do something to where all of this goes back to one, and everybody is like singularly focused and understands like this is the backstory, this is the powers, this is this. I don't understand how you can do that with Flashpoint without severely changing the story, which is why I'm saying I'm not a fan of it, because I feel like you honor stories by trying to be true to the ideals that the creator of that story, like you are adapting. If you're gonna make some other movie, call it something else, but don't use the like sanctity of how fans feel about Flashpoint and they're going to want to, their first step is going to want to be like, I just want to support it because I really do like Flashpoint. I want it to be good. I'm the same way. If they make it, I want it to be good, but I know it's not going to be because they didn't respect the source material.
Well, and
I know they're not because of how they're trying to use the story. Flashpoint is honestly, door opening, and they're using it to close it. They're just using the name.
It's really too early to say for certain without having seen it. And this is that sliver of optimism. Hold on. This is that sliver of optimism. But it's really too early to say that they are or are not, because just the fact that we are getting Supergirl in this, you know what I'm saying? Because
why?
By itself, the version of Supergirl that we've seen so far is not this CW. And having Ezra Miller do the little cameo he did on the CW show indicates that he's aware that there's a multiverse that takes place there. Granted, okay,
Flash was already aware of the multiverse because the CBS Supergirl show started off in a different universe from the rest of the Arrowverse.
Right. And then
they did Crisis.
That was the CW.
The CW earned Crisis.
Yes.
Why
they
can't
earned
the
Crisis. They earned but you know what? We already know the train wreck that is the DCEU. And the fact that they have rushed to do everything they've done up to this point, that they are currently where they are. I was still very curious to see, because if you do Flashpoint just as a standalone, because we're not getting the whole of DCEU in this movie. The only thing that we know that we have confirmed was Ben Affleck, and we know we got Michael Keaton. So just having the two Batmans right there, that's something different in and of itself. And that
you just are more optimistic than me.
I clearly I am more optimistic when it comes to.
That's my favorite thing about this conversation, just watching you try to find like the optimistic counterpoints to what I'm saying, because it's like we're both right. It's like you're just speaking more from like the hope side of things.
The fan, yes.
And the fan, and I'll say this too, because I like to reiterate that even though like I am a Marvel guy over DC, if you were to ask me to choose between the two, I still appreciate DC. I watch DC stuff. I love DC. I don't draw that many DC characters all the time, except for like Static Shock, but I appreciate the material, and I think that I want to love DC like I love Marvel, but they
make it very hard.
They make it hard.
I get that.
And they're like the Sun, where it's like they are the Theo Huxtable of IP. It's like, I love you, but like,
man.
And then you find out in the final season, actually he's dyslexic. And it's like, oh, cool. So you just been like talking crap about this kid his whole life about not trying, and he actually had a real problem. And that's what I'm saying about DC. They have a real problem, which is the focus is not on the art. The focus is on what the art gets you. And even though Disney obviously is focused on that, what they do is they understand where the bread is buttered. They know that the IP drives the business. They value the creators. That's why Kevin Feige is a household name to a degree, not to everybody, but like to geeks. Like, we didn't know who the producer of like the Superman movies were when we were growing up. Like, we didn't care.
At best, the director, but even then, it wasn't something that.
But he's crafting like a collection of stories that I would say can only probably be rivaled by Walt Disney himself. Maybe James Bond. But in terms of like IP and creating and venturing out and doing, I mean, Stan Lee, even like in the comic sense of things, but like who else is there?
No, I mean everybody else that's tried to do a cinematic universe has pretty much given it up, and it's curious to see like, is it the cinematic universe as a whole that's a problem? Because why can't everyone follow the formula? Why doesn't
because
it work?
Disney was the first. Disney was like the first one to like understand. So when they were signing up actors, because they saw a mistake that DC actually made when they did the Superman movie with Brandon Ruth. Christian Bale was already playing Batman, but he was on a movie to movie contract, so they had to re-sign him every time. When the Superman movie failed and the Green Lantern movie failed, then they were like, all right, we're not going to connect Batman to this garbage, even though they were like trying to connect all of them, which is why they were developing those movies.
Right.
On the Marvel side of things, what they said was, Sam Jackson, we're signing you to a 9-movie deal. We need you to appear as Nick Fury for 9 movies. Might be a 5-minute cameo at the end of this, or it might be you in a whole bunch of scenes doing this and that, blah, 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 with Captain America. But we got you for 9 movies. Everybody was signed to a multi-picture deal, so you didn't have to worry about coming to Christian Bale and saying, we want to do a Justice League movie. Oh, but Brandon Ruth sucks. So I don't want to be in a Justice League movie with him.
Okay.
And he doesn't, I'm not saying he sucked. I'm saying that
Ooh,
that
I was
was
triggered right there. Like,
at the time,
okay.
at the time that everybody was just, it was just a bad movie. It was a bad story. It was put together poorly. And he caught a lot of flack because they were like, he's only here because he looks like, what's his name?
Christopher Reeves.
Yeah, I think if you take the either the banner,
I'm gonna have to.
comment down.
I'll pull the overlay off. But yeah, I mean, it's. I would definitely say that the long-term goal was not there, and I think the big difference is Marvel went in thinking 10 movies, at least 10. Now, did they know that it was going to turn into 22? Because we've heard about some things that have changed along the way. But I genuinely believe that they had in their mind, they knew they were going to do Iron Man 2, Captain America 2. They were going to do Avengers. So they knew those 5 movies. Oh, and then 2 Thor movies.
Can you believe that?
They knew those 5, 6, 7 movies were right there. And then Avengers was going to have a sequel. So that takes us up to 8. And the success of any of those movies could have automatically just made for 2 more movies. I'm pretty sure when they sat down, they came in with 10 movies in mind. Where DC came in, and at best, Zack Snyder was like 4 movies. And because of that...
I think what it was they came in and they said, Marvel did it in 10, we need it in 4. That they were trying to catch up to where Marvel was at the time.
They was trying to get their Billy too quickly. And didn't do the groundwork.
Exactly.
Nobody disputed that.
And that's on, and that's why I don't really have a ton of sympathy for
Zack
Snyder.
Is that why Flashpoint won't work? Because they don't have 18 movies to establish a multiverse?
Who is Flash?
I mean, we got to do a whole shoot.
Flash. DCEU Flash. Who is he?
As far as
the nigga that work at the dog park and put hot dogs in his pocket.
No, he just got the job at
the dog
Central
groomer.
City. No. He was applying for that job, but if you recall, he showed his dad his acceptance letter where he had just gotten the job.
Oh, true. But he also puts hot dogs in his pocket. That's weird.
He does. And
that's weird.
And you know what? He saves women whose cars get flipped over by hot dog vans. So that's the thing too.
So my whole thing is
we have this character, a Flash, who is, as far as the DCEU, virtually an unknown. Because it's not like people are like, they don't even have the same media coverage as the Avengers would have to say like, oh, he's the guy that saved, he was part of the Battle of New York, or he was part of
Right.
this thing. Like, so they don't have that. So he's just some guy who does this thing that no one really knows about. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, and this is honestly like almost not in contrast to your statement, but almost in support of your statement, because it's some random guy. If you just walk in and tell the story of Flashpoint, I think they've done enough to establish the character of Flash, because there's a whole CW show that's like pretty much broken that character.
No, man,
all the
no,
way
no,
down.
no, no, no. You can't cheat off your neighbor's paper.
As a
I'm sorry. You can't cheat off your neighbor's paper. He ain't playing Flash like Grant Gustin plays Flash.
no,
So
Grant Gustin would do so
why
much
should I
better,
connect those two characters?
because they're both called Flash. Okay, the same logic falls
No,
in
no, no.
Hold on. No,
I mean, there's a lot of people named Flash that have different personalities. Wally West is also Flash, but
I
his
get that.
personality is not like Barry Allen. The problem with it is Flashpoint is a story where you take something familiar and then you turn it on its head and watch how a character you know and love reacts to being in a situation that they're not comfortable with and trying to get back to XYZ. You have not established who this character is.
Comic book
So
canon,
why?
Back to the Future.
What?
Comic book canon, Back to the Future.
Okay, so I got to fill in my own blanks.
No. I'm saying like that is where you're saying this exists, and I get that, and I completely agree, because it's the whole fish out of water. He's got to deal with these situations that he's not used to. And we only know what situations he's used to if we have some establishment for the character.
It's like Korean barbecue. They want you to cook your own food. It's like,
but I came here for you to cook it, not for me to have to cook.
Like, sometimes I'm in the mood, but sometimes I'm like, nah.
Now, if I'm going to do Korean barbecue, I'm going to go in the backyard and fire up the grill and just barbecue there. I get that. I get that. Somebody posted a question. What would be a good first Flash movie? Just a Flash origin story movie. I think that's probably the best answer here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an individual story.
Actually, what I would do is
everybody get your pen and papers.
I like Wally West. You know, I'm very big on the idea of the first Justice League movie should have just been the same Justice League characters from the cartoon series. Like, That's what a lot of people kind of just like go to as like a default Justice League lineup roster. We know those characters. You can cheat off that homework a little bit more than you can like the CW Flash series,
right?
In my opinion. So I would have probably done something where
you could have took the animated DC animated movie.
Is Wally West basically becomes the Flash? So it's Wally West's origin, but Barry Allen is kind of like guiding him a little bit. Or if you want to make him the sidekick, transitioning to being the main guy on some like, but see, that's like Green Arrow, Red Arrow. I don't want to get into Speed. I don't want to get into that territory.
Yeah,
I definitely think it should be Wally West, because I do like the more like light comedic energy, and I think that it is one of those things where it's like he's an important character in a lot of different series and situations. Even though he's not the fastest Flash, it's about more than that. I mean, at least in Young Justice, he wasn't. That's why.
Oh yeah.
It was Barry Allen and even Bart was faster than him.
Yeah, I mean that's why he ended up getting all the shots and stuff. And
so I think focusing on Wally West.
Flashpoint.
I think.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. It is a and nobody's saying that it's not a bigger deal, and that's where the negative aspect of them going right to Flashpoint for their premiere movie for Like the
You're
first
gonna have to
Flash
spend so
solo
much
movie
time
is Flashpoint.
creating the character that we're not even going to get enough time to explore the alternate universe if they do it right, or we're just going to be in this alternate universe with a dude who we do not care about at all, really, because you haven't made us care. You haven't made us want to know why he needs to get back, so you can like get your dad out of jail. Like, I don't care about that.
Yeah, I mean, not enough has been established for the getting out of jail part for that to be a thing. But it's also one of the like, and this is a problem that they make where it requires too much on the part of the viewer.
Yes.
And for some people, it's okay. I need the cheat sheet. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because DC does a bad job in general. And we've had many a conversation about this. This is one point that I've never really said you were wrong on because it's a fact. DC does a bad job of expecting too much of their audience for their movies. And when you go into a movie, it should be on screen. Anything they want you to know, anything they want to establish, I agree. Anything they want to establish, they should put on screen for you to know, for you to learn, for you to have. And if you're doing too much connecting the dots, am I explaining this correct, Jeff?
Yes, 100%.
If you have to do too much connecting the dots, then you're not watching a movie. You're just watching clips and scenes put to action.
And anybody who is a geek who's married to a non-geek who goes to see some of these movies with you, the conversation in the car,
you end up spending 2 hours recapping the entire movie to explain every plot hole, every piece, and I can agree because
and then you end up getting frustrated, and your wife's like, "Why are you getting?" I was like, "I'm not frustrated with you. I'm frustrated because now I'm realizing like this movie is bad. I just filled in all the gaps for them."
Right. Like I had to break this whole movie down. Yeah. I shouldn't have had to do that. And yeah, so I get it.
Because the conversation after the Marvel movies do not be like that. It's just more
just
like,
oh, this scene was so cool. Yeah, I love that part.
Or it's like, I forgot that was in that other movie, but they did show it to me.
Yeah. We got we got Linda here in the green room. Go ahead and bring Linda on in. Booyah, Linda.
Hold on.
No, too late. I saw that. I saw it. Look at the screen. It's okay. We got our disclaimer up. But I'm just going to say
it's just this, so it's fine.
Okay, we're going to say early. You watch out for me, I'll watch out for you.
I'm not going to as deep of a level of hell as you are, sir. Thank you.
Right. But I'm only doing the one, so it'll be okay. All right, so that was Ezra Miller, and I think Ezra, is he the nail in the coffin? Because they was already in a coffin. Is he the nail? Is that going to kill future DC projects? If this movie doesn't,
I mean, you can't do Flashpoint with a person who nobody has ever seen, even in the costume. That's like beyond bold.
Yeah, that's true.
So by canning this movie, wait. So then does it actually help them if they can this movie? If they scrap this, one, that's a big loss right there, just because all the production that they have.
Look, this is what they should do. This is what they should do.
They get to start over now and make a whole new DCEU.
Do you know the story of the NBA ABA merger? It wasn't actually a merger. The NBA basically bought the ABA, and they were like, "We're taking these teams, and the rest of these teams can piss off." You should read the story of the St. Louis team because they got a smart deal, and basically they get paid in perpetuity. And if they ever try to put a team in St. Louis, they are the ones who get like first rights at like owning it. And basically the NBA is like, F you guys. So that's why there's no basketball team that's probably ever going to be in St. Louis. But this is what DC needs to do. They need to just go ahead and say, look, we're going to go in the DCE MOU version, direction, or whatever. Let everybody have their own energy. Batman, you was good. I hope they don't do no more Joker movies, but they got stuff to work with there. Shazam, you can come on. That's like San Antonio Spurs. Like, they got to come to the NBA. Shazam, come on down. You get to come on over because you was good. Aquaman, you did decent enough. We're gonna get some new writers and like get your character like fixed up a little bit, have you interact with everybody differently, but you can come on. Wonder Woman, you come on too. Everybody else, find your own way back.
We go give them
nice settlement for you guys.
We gonna give them the Chun-Li bye.
Your future endeavors, and they can be out.
Okay. So I'm with it. I think it might be time to just scrap the DCEU. They don't have a Kevin Feige, and they just need to either they need to continue doing their standalone projects the way they've been doing them, or they just need to start over from scratch, movie by movie, one step at a time.
Yep.
And I think at the very least, if they do in fact start completely over, and if they want to start over with Phantasm,
I'm not mad at it.
That's a starting
point. That feels like more of a universe where a story like Flashpoint could jump off from than the Justice League one.
Right.
To me,
and I agree. And I think because you get this established character here, you give him another movie to like, really give us that Batman. You go ahead, you take one of these new people, make them a Superman. It doesn't even have to be a known, because I didn't really know who Henry Cavill was when he got cast as Superman for the Man of Steel. Only thing he had before that I knew of was Immortals. So
I'd say Harley Quinn, all the ladies from the Birds of Prey, they can come too.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with them.
Peacemaker, you can come too.
Oh yeah, Peacemaker got it. Peacemaker carving out his own path, so we're gonna let him do what he do. But yeah, that's Ezra. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's not.
I think it's a good thing in the long run. One day we'll get a Flashpoint.
Okay, you know what? Listen. I have the solution. Okay, hold on.
Okay, here it is. It's going down.
I have the solution.
Linda's got the answer. Listen, Linda. Listen.
This is the perfect solution. Okay, listen. We already have 2 Flashes that have been cast between different X-Men universes, movies, whatever. Recast as Evan Peters. Evan Peters just take over. Period. Done. Solution. That's the solution.
We
don't need Ezra Miller. We need Evan Peters. That's what we need. Evan Peters was the Flash in the other X-Men movies.
No, Linda, wait.
Wait a minute. I'm loving this. I'm loving this right now.
Evan Peters was. I'm gonna let David.
Wait.
David
Evan Peters.
No, wrong. No, that's wrong.
I don't care.
She's Evan going Peters with Ralph Boner. You know what?
No,
we'll just cast Ralph Boner.
He's the solution.
We should cast Ralph Boner.
Solution, David, to every problem. Evan Peters and Henry Cavill.
You have on your microphone
solution.
Right now.
Ow! I just pinched my finger.
Oh my god!
That's it. It's the solution.
You know what? Why the hell not? He was Quicksilver. He did a great job. Let's bring him on over.
Quicksilver, and Flash, same thing. They're fast. That's all that matters.
I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna stay.
So, David, earlier we were talking about our favorite Street Fighter characters. Let's get back to that.
I told you, solution right there. Done.
Lord.
It's done.
That is
honestly, he would be a good DC emo Flash.
It's Evan. Honestly,
he's not emo, but he's like funny in that emo kind of way.
Exactly. Like Evan Peters is so slept on. It's not even funny.
Let's go all in. How about Aaron Taylor Johnson as Superman?
No, Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill's the only Superman.
Henry Cavill stays a Superman?
Yes, he's the only Superman. No, he is the only Superman. That's how it works.
Who you say? Mark Taylor Johnson?
No, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh,
he was the one that played Quicksilver in the MCU.
I'm trying to look up to see if he's more attractive.
He's the next guy. He's the guy that's going to be Kraven next. He's a big guy.
No, he's not. He's not more attractive than Henry Cavill. So he can't be Superman. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Superman has to be attractive.
If it's going to be if he's trying to replace Henry Cavill, yes.
But what about in the DC emo you? Maybe he's sad because he's not as attractive as all the other Superman.
Because if we really had to have emo characters for stuff, everyone is now going to be Tobey Maguire with long hair. That's how it is. I told you, I have the solutions to all of these problems here. Okay.
I think Tobey Maguire might be a worse Superman than that, that picture of.
No. It's fine. It's fine.
Nick Cage.
It's fine. Give me like 10 minutes. I will Photoshop him as Superman with the long emo hair, and it'll be fine. You guys will see. Hold on, I'll work on that right now.
Okay, that's. I'm curious. All right, so any other topics that anybody? That's we're gonna let her work on that for a moment. And so last point on the Flash here. The currently the Flash movie is it's pushed back until June of 2023, and with him like being arrested and some of the stuff he got arrested for, there's like threats to a couple he was staying with in Hawaii. I'm really not understanding where my man was going with all of this and how he got to where he is, but okay. Like just that kind of reminds me, makes me think about just a general conversation about source material and how you can adapt one thing from another. And I did like your point, Jeff, about at least maintaining the same spirit of the source material, because when we take something like Marvel Civil War or Captain America Civil War, although it is drastically different from the story, at least they at least had the same energy. They had the same spirit of what they were trying to get to, what they were trying to accomplish. And Ty, welcome, Ty. They maintained that same energy. They had that same spirit. And
right on, Ty. I don't even know what you're agreeing to, but as long as you agree with me, I'm gonna big you up.
I'm sure that was a good point. I've been watching Halo on Paramount Plus, and I really don't know who they're making this show for.
Oh, this is beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm working on this.
Let me know when you have it, and I will let you share your screen so we can enjoy.
Lord,
I almost
you send it first.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, to respecting the spirit of the material. Yeah,
it's so good.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I've been watching this Halo, and I really don't know who they're making this show for, because I went into the first episode and I was like, okay, so they're going back a little bit. They're going back to Reach, and it's a bit of an older show kind of thing. And they did some stuff in the first episode that I was just like, wait, what? Have you all ever? Do you know what material you're sourcing this from? And I remember the director had said something about like, oh, we're not going to use the game. And I'm like, well, what else could you use?
The books.
But the books are based on the game. So
stop poking holes in the bucket.
You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's like there's certain things that you can't, like they really yeah, I'm gonna post that one. That was they've just and you know what, we have the spoiler And it's like it's already out there. It's been like 2-3 weeks now. They came right in and took Master Chief's helmet off in the first episode.
Huh?
Is that a big deal?
That is
That
I don't
is
play
a
the
big
game.
deal.
so. Here's why it's a big deal.
The fuck?
Somebody look up real quick when Halo came out. When did Halo come out?
Hello?
Halo was like 2000.
It was like
Five.
2000.
Like,
It's been some years. We have never seen Master Chief's face.
We've seen his
I didn't
eyes,
know that.
maybe, if you're good enough to play Legendary on Halo 3.
And even then, what you got was like there's some cut scenes. There was a live action thing they did a little while back, or like one of the movies they did a little while back. Even when they like would have shown his face, he had stuff on his face. Thank you, Ty. 2001. Halo came out 2001. We are now in 2022. We've never seen this man's face.
Did
And
you
in
like
the
what you
very
saw?
first episode, do what?
Did you like what you saw?
That's not the point. It
Because
doesn't matter if I like
no,
it.
because like no, because here's the thing. Because I don't play Halo, so I ain't know that. I thought it was like, oh, his helmet be off and they be having cutscenes
We
and
never see
flying
this
to the
man's
ship and
face.
no head. And so
Never
I
seen
was like, maybe they cast this dude because this is what he looks like in the game.
No.
But I was kind of like, man,
And you know
he's
what?
doing a good job acting, but
he did. And there was a lot in that. There was a lot of the first episode that I can appreciate and I liked and I enjoyed. So I said, okay, I'll stick around. We'll do episode 2. I looked at it from the same standpoint, Jeff, and I was literally thinking of you when I was having this conversation about it. I was like, you know what? They're doing something different. They're going, taking a hard left right out the gate just to like shake it up and make it something original and make it their own. I said, okay, let's see where this goes. Let's see how they go with this. It almost doesn't seem like he's going to put the helmet back on.
Oh, no.
And I'm kind of waiting. So finally, I get to see him again with the helmet on. I've heard a lot of comments, like a lot of people getting Mandalorian vibes. There was an action sequence in the first episode that like really pumped it up and made me think Halo. There was weapon switching. There was picking up weapons off the ground. There was the Spartan attacks. Master Chief was
all the stuff where they made it seem like first-person shooter, like that looked cool. I feel like other movies and shows have tried to do that, and it's like, this is corny. Like, just show me the movie. But like, because it had like the overlay and like you seeing like you actually like seeing stuff, is not just like
his heads up display.
So yeah, I thought that was really well done.
I found because I haven't seen the show yet, and I'm looking at this.
The only complaint I have as far as the actor, he's not what I guess I pictured Master Chief to look like.
He doesn't. It's not giving Master Chief.
And so I was just like
Robert Redford. That's what I was expecting.
You know what? I was thinking more like a jacked up Stephen Lang. I was expecting somebody. I like the word gruff and hardened come to mind when I hear Master Chief. Because he's like the number one Spartan. He's that guy. And I'm looking at this guy like, nah, you don't really give me vibes like you that guy. I feel like somebody could take you out. And
I don't know. I definitely got a like when I'm in the helmet, I'm in the zone vibe from him.
And I'm with that.
And I think too, you also have to remember he's like, I don't want to say he's been compromised, but he's like going through some conflict, like kind of emotionally and mentally right now that he hasn't experienced. So that obviously is going to make you like, you don't want to be experiencing that in battle because like we want to die.
They address a lot of aspects of the character and the genetically created part. Ty is saying here they're genetically created so the youthful appearance would fit the game. And in fairness, even in the timeline of the story of Master Chief, this is still early enough in the timeline that the youthfulness of the character fits.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. It's still just kind of. I guess it's just off-putting to me because I'm like, I kind of almost don't want to see his face. You know, I don't want to see his face because like now I'm thinking back to like when this first got announced and then like somebody was just in my ear talking about, like, man, you know who they should have as Master Chief, fucking John Cena, and I'm like, no, that's dumb. But then I see this and I'm just like, damn, I really would have rather, if we were gonna do this, I really would have rather John Cena.
Like Cena could have worked. Like if this is what they were gonna do, if they were gonna go this route, Cena
David, did you want a Cena if this would work?
No. Go to bed.
Is Master Chief like swole?
Master Chief is like 8 feet tall and like 2 tons. This man is jacked.
I mean, he's basically a cyborg.
This man has to walk around with the 2-ton suit on and like do combat maneuvers all the time. This man is swole.
That, you know what? That's exactly the issue.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
We're so used to him being portrayed as a warrior that seeing a face humanizes him outside of the warrior type, and that's the problem.
Because that's what I was actually going to make a point related to that. I think from the writer, if I'm looking at it from a writer's perspective, right? It's like Master Chief is a symbol of war, essentially. Now, when you're playing the game and you are when you play the game, you play as Master Chief. Yes or no? I just want to make sure.
Yes. No. Yes.
When you play the game, you play as Master Chief. So you're inside the helmet, like not seeing your own face. That's not like that weird from a first-person shooter point of view. But if we're going to go into this world, like as a writer, right? Like we saw RoboCop's face, we saw Judge Dredd's face, we saw Darth Vader's face, we saw Mandalorian's face. Like the helmet comes off. Now the choice to do a first episode.
That's that's kind of where I'm at right now, because now I'm kind of like
I said.
But I think that's not what the show is about.
Because I feel like that should have been like it
kind of works.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that would have been like something that you kind of could have built up to, though. Like doing that in the first episode kind of just kills it, you know.
And see, and the thing is, like when you talk about how they have to earn, the Mandalorian had to earn us getting to see his face.
Yeah, for sure.
Halo didn't do anything to earn us seeing Master Chief's face.
Yes,
and having gone 20
years,
it
released a bunch of Halo games. That's the price that was paid. There you go.
and having gone 20 years and not seeing it, I really feel like it was just a major sign of disrespect to come right in and take the helmet off.
Right.
You know,
and that's where I'm at with it. It's like I don't hate the fact that they showed his face, because like it's a TV series. They're going to show his face. Like there's an actor behind it. They're going to show his face eventually. Right. I just don't like the fact that they did it episode 1.
And like, even from a storyline,
I have nothing to look forward to now.
I was okay even with the story why he took the helmet off. So that's why I said, I was like, okay, they didn't lose me on the first episode.
But it's almost like if you're going to do a story that's not based on the game and have somebody do something that's like out of character for the game, why not just like make it a different person than Master Chief?
There were other parts.
Because of what happens in the show, they don't want Master Chief to be portrayed as like an antagonist.
Yeah. And I suppose like from what I'm seeing, there definitely seems like it's weird, because I'm curious about the story they are telling, because this ain't my Halo. This ain't the Halo I know.
What is the Halo
choice? I'm sorry.
What is the Halo story? Like, I'm not familiar with it. I've only seen people like playing against each other. I've never seen like, somebody like go through like the story mode.
So the short version, alien invasion, Earth is failing. We've reached out into the stars. make contact with the alien race. They're hostile. We fight back.
It's basically like a giant like war story. It's an interstellar war between humanity and the Covenant.
Okay.
And
there's like ancient civilizations. What were they called? The come on, David. The Forerunners. There it is. Yeah. So just there's mentions of the Forerunners, and then you deal with the flood, which is like the parasites that killed the Forerunners. There's a whole lot, but it's mainly the war between the Covenant and the humanity.
Okay. Got it.
And
so that's
in this war, Master Chief is
he's the guy.
Yeah. And it's weird because that's weird to me because the first thing we see is the first thing we see them do is take out a rebel base of humans. So I was actually very confused about that too because I was like, ain't this game about fighting aliens?
Okay, well, Sam, I'm sending you the picture now.
Okay. I will say like that first story does kind of line up with some of the lore. I'm mad how well that looks. I'm actually mad how well that looks. I'm gonna share this with y'all because she spent some time on it, and it actually
in real time, you guys, real time.
Let's see, where is that?
My janky Photoshop skills, and this is me like tipsy, so you know.
Oh nah. No, oh nah.
You don't like it, David?
Oh nah.
Let me. Oh wait, nope, that's slides. I need to share a screen. Okay, I'm gonna share this screen just so y'all can see this image that Linda made, and we got our.
I worked hard.
We got our emo Superman there. Got our emo Superman there.
He looks like the brother from Wedding Crashers.
That is disturbing.
The issue that the writers are trying to write a human story within this world, and seeing his face is a way to do that. Would you say the game portrays a human experience?
Yeah, I could say that there's definitely there are aspects of the game that have the human experience. The biggest problem is they are cherry picking the parts that they want to use, but claiming that they're not following the game. And so you're showing something that comes along much, much later.
The alien, political, and war thriller. Yeah, it is. And like I understand what they're trying to do. Like even having not seen the show and just kind of hearing about it, like I know what they're going for, and I think it'll still do okay. But like from what I'm seeing so far, like the face reveal on episode 1 has been very divisive.
The only thing I could do is give them credit for getting it out of the way, because it was going to be a big thing, something that would hold it up, and we would be building up waiting for that.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that, get it out the way, take the pressure off right off rip. And in doing that, then, okay, now you've freed yourself from the stagnation of having to make that a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, if and I'm trying to think of a non-vulgar example, but if you make a mistake, you make jokes about the mistake before anybody else can make jokes about the mistakes. You take away all of their power. And so by showing his face right off the rip, they don't have to worry about the face reveal being a letdown because they've already done that. And if you come in for episode 2, you know now that you're coming in for episode 2. So even in episode 2, I have no choice but to sit and accept that his face is available and look at his face.
I'm sorry. I'm just catching up.
There you go
with the conversation.
That's and like
why is his face here?
Why what Alex is saying is exactly where I'm at right now. Like I have no issue with them revealing his face. It's just like why episode 1? They could have done that like
that could have been a finale. That is easy.
It could have been like
fodder.
Season finale. Definitely could have been a season finale thing. Or
Fodder.
Even...
Why he looked like the kid from Bully?
What?
Am I wrong?
We talking about Master Chief?
He looked like the kid from Bully all grown up.
Which
you know what? I would put his face up, but I feel like that's too heavy a spoiler.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it alone.
It's not hard to find it. It's there.
Okay,
and I
listen,
think the
you
first
guys want to know?
actually...
Okay, here's your audio spoiler now for what he looks like. Picture generic military white dude. Bam, there he is.
Christ.
That's it. I'm sorry I spoiled it for you. I'm sorry. That's my bad.
Yeah, he look like the dude played Punisher a little bit.
He looks like the dude who plays Sabretooth's little brother. Oh,
all
wait.
right.
He actually is the dude who played Sabretooth's little brother. That's actually who that is. So
the actor in The Mandalorian did not want to wear the mask the whole time, so production went through issues. Yeah, okay.
Why he look like Buzz Lightyear without Jay Leno's chin? Like,
over here in a roast session.
Oh my god. He's doing his best. Why is Jada trending?
But you love Jada, David.
I don't.
What was that?
We are not covering that again.
We're not. No. I literally just glanced at Twitter and just like, Jada Pinkett's trending. Like, why?
I'll say this about Halo. If you don't care about the game, it's a decent watch. Because I don't know none of the stuff about the game, so it's not messing me up.
So you're enjoying it so far?
Like, this is a good show. And y'all like his face. I'm like, oh, I'm not supposed to like that? Okay.
God,
David, you are totally
like Eddie Murphy
allowed to like it.
Game in Coming to America.
It's like
in the face.
That's one of the problems that the creators
of
Halo has just ended up with, because you turn it into such a big thing by not showing his face for so long, and then finally when your franchise gets dumped into someone else's hands, they're just like, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, from a visual standpoint, as a okay, so Jeff,
if you're gonna show this man living life, he gotta
be a person, right? He gotta be a human, because otherwise he does just look like a big robot. So you not having the background of the games and 20 years of game history,
I'm unburdened.
In terms of a story, do you think the helmet coming off had the effect of, and we'll assume that it was just to humanize the character? Because even from a storytelling standpoint,
yeah, because honestly, I didn't know in the game that it was people. When I would see the game, I was like, oh, these are all just like robots, and y'all just
granted,
I wasn't even sure that it was people.
Granted, I've been involved with Halo since the first game. I've fallen off in more recent years. I hadn't played through all of like ODST or anything probably past that. But like, I don't know, it never came off to me as like, oh, these are robot people. It's more along the lines of, it didn't matter what they looked like for the storyline. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter what Master Chief looked like. I had, as a Hispanic woman, even, I could still empathize with this man, because the fact that we didn't know what he looked like, he could be anyone under there. And I think that's one of the main reasons why they never show what he looked like in the first place, because it's easier for you as the player to put yourself in his shoes. All you had was his voice. That's it. So it makes it like, and even that was
kind of generic. So
so it's much easier from a gaming standpoint to be able to put yourself in his shoes without making it be like a create your own character. Especially back then when Halo first came out, create your own characters were just starting to emerge and were being like, they were huge. But they were like, let's just we don't want to do a create your own character campaign. we want to have a specific person here. So let's make this person basically as generic as possible. So pretty much anyone can empathize with this person. And let's not show their face. Now, I understand that translating that into a different form of media, specifically TV and or movie, means that you have to do an unveiling. That's just how it is, because you're less likely, you have different kinds of people and a different interaction with TV show and movies, like, and people that and how it's consumed compared to video games. Right. So with video game or with TV and movies, you need more visual stimulants than you do with video game, because video game, you're doing stuff with it too. You're actively moving around the controller. You're making decisions as to how your character interacts with the world. So it's a little easier to empathize. That's my
and
on it.
No, and I think that is absolutely nails it on the head right there. And
well, I was just gonna say too, from the standpoint of like not playing the game, I only kind of thought they were robots because I never saw people doing the campaign mode. So, like you said, there were a ton of creative player games out there, and I'm like, okay, well, these are characters and like people. But then I see like a game where it's like everybody's wearing the same uniform, and you don't even see like necks or like fingers or like even because like even with Mandalorian, it's like you know there's a person inside of there because you can see the people thing.
The limbs and
they seem
between
like the Halo armor.
So
the Halo armor seemed pretty I'm too drunk to say the word.
Amplified?
Amplifomorphized. You know, like whenever you take a thing that's not a human and you give it human features. There it is. There's the word. They seemed pretty much like that to me. But once again, this is just from, I guess it's a perspective of someone who's played the games. And also who watched like old school like Red versus Blue as well. Right. Because that definitely showed. I mean, they used like Halo 2, I think, for Red versus Blue originally. Mm-hmm. So everything had 5 fingers, everything, you know, clearly had it was just a full suited up thing of armor like you would have if you were in space, just kind of like a futuristic version. So it's a little more contoured to the body than what we would think of with our normal, like the spacesuits we currently have, you know, in our reality. So that's I don't know how I saw it as. I guess that's why I never took it as something of like, oh, these were robots or these were, you know, because I can understand where you're coming from as far as that goes, especially if you didn't see it from that. But
the point I wanted to make too is like when they show up in the show, it feels like robots until they start talking, and then they all have different voices, and I'm like, okay, these are like people. Are they like droids, like on some Star Wars stuff? Until
the best explanation would be
later in the episode, then I'm like, okay, I think these are like people, not just like AI or droids, or because I'm like, it's futuristic. It could be like Data from Star Trek type stuff with like armor on. So I think for the purpose of the show, the moment where he does take the helmet off is a moment that does solidify his humanity and kind of, in my opinion, allows the story to move in the direction that the writers want to take it. Because if you watch episode 2, that's a hard episode to do with him just in the full Master Chief outfit and helmet.
No, I mean, I haven't seen any of it myself. I will say though, from a longtime fan aspect of it, it is just a smidge disrespectful to the fans to not do something more with his reveal than just like, here's what he looks like. Oh yeah, Alex, I completely agree with you.
Hey Jeff, you'll like that one.
But anyway, it's just a little bit disrespectful to the fans. And completely honest, without the fans, the Halo franchise wouldn't have a TV show. So, like, I don't know. I understand why they did it, to go in the direction they wanted to go into. However, they could have written it in a different direction And that also is a huge missed opportunity, in my opinion, to play off of that perspective of some people might see him as a robot, and other people who've known him for a while know, nah, this is a human.
So,
and to do a big reveal later on down the road.
So
even
here's
finale or otherwise.
Here's what I just been thinking about this for a little bit while we've been talking about it. Why even use Master Chief? Like,
that's what I
in the capacity of using, because like there's so many other characters, and you can literally make up characters for Halo and just have like Master Chief be like a background piece, because aside from like
off-world doing something,
have him off-world doing stuff, and then like every like couple episodes or something, he just happens to just like crash down in like a ball of fire and just be like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" and then goes off and does Master Chief shit. Because like Chief you can literally like do the show as like you could literally take Halo ODST and just make that the show.
Yeah. And even the fact that they have other Spartans on the show.
You have other Spartans. Like, shit, for all I care, take the fucking Spartan you made for fucking Dead or Alive, 4 or 5, and just make her the fucking main character.
But now, David, remember again though, like, who's the moneymaker of the franchise? Who are the people? Who is the
Sergeant
person?
Johnson is
David,
the moneymaker.
David,
Sergeant Johnson is
who is the one person in the whole franchise, maybe two, that people who have no idea what Halo is and have never played the games will be able to recognize?
Oh, they know it's Master Chief and Arbiter
and Cortana.
Oh yeah, true, Cortana. Yeah. Oh man, Cortana. That's a whole other. Oh my god, that's a
now
whole
Cortana is only thanks to Microsoft and them on the whole thing, but that's why it makes sense for them to use.
You're right. Yeah, Cortana is integral to the story of Halo.
Clarify your comment. Who is Loke, or who is Locke? Are we talking? Are we talking about the?
I googled it. It said Library of Congress. I'm like, I don't think that's what he's talking about.
No. They're talking about one of the Halo characters.
Okay, I didn't get into it like that. David might know though.
Who like that might be a Halo Reach character.
I haven't been into this since 2010.
I'm trying to remember. It's been a minute since I played.
2011.
I mean, Spartan Locke was the one he's the guy from 5.
Fucking yeah.
I mean, like,
that's right.
And see, I'm verifying.
And honestly,
I'm not sure if that was a question or a statement. That's why I was trying to just clarify. What do you mean?
Honestly,
Nathan Fillion. Yes.
Are you asking?
Do
I like the character?
Nathan Fillion and Alan to whatever his name is. The last name I can never pronounce right. There it is, Tudyk. I always feel like that's the wrong pronunciation. Have been involved in like all of the Halos.
Really?
Like since the beginning. Yeah, they've been like big fans.
Oh. I did not know this.
Oh yeah, and that'd be no problem to get him, like both of them on board, honestly. But neither one of them were people that were initially cast as like major characters.
I just thought about it. Like honestly, yeah, like doing something like ODST or actually like making Reach the fucking show would be the best way, because the ending for Reach will fucking blow the internet up. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I would see, and that was something I was thinking. And again, like, you've got,
because there's really nothing that you need
all
to
of the
do.
cutscenes. No, and I'm sure somebody's done it on YouTube. I'll look for it later. But if you took all the cutscenes chronologically from Halo, that's a movie by itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so there it is. Alan Tudyk was in Halo 3 and ODST.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan Fillion was in 3 ODST, Reach, and 5.
Okay.
So they've been in there, and apparently Nathan Fillion's likeness was also used for Halo 3, ODST, and Reach as Gunnery Sergeant Edward Buck.
Right. And see,
now that you said that,
he was also Spartan Edward Buck in Halo 5.
Okay, see, now that you said it, I hear it, and okay, all right, yeah.
And yes, I'm agreeing with that statement. One of our comments here says, "Who would be the star of the show? Someone like Locke."
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, Absolutely.
Absolutely. In fact, you could probably even take the entire Halo 5 story, convert that.
You don't even
but
need to take the story. You could just like have
given
its
that you
own
have
little
to like
offshoot.
kind of build up to where they are by the time you get to 5.
Yeah, you can
Start
have
with Reach, go from Reach to ODST,
and just build up from there, and then like start tying game shit into the story from there.
They'd have to start off with the most popular things first, and that would be Master Chief and Cortana, and then they can branch off from there for a more rich,
but Halo 5
diverse
didn't do well though.
Storyline.
It didn't, but Spartan Locke was still that dude.
He was.
And seeing given that they already have multiple Spartans on screen, and we've seen them without their helmets.
Mm-hmm.
What is and I think for me, it was one of those things where like Linda's right. Yes.
Linda's always right.
Given that we have multiple Spartans on screen, indicates we are at a time period where there was more than just Master Chief John 117. It's early enough in the story where they're still developing a lot of the Spartan program. So as far as the actor, I'm okay with that. But in my mind, I'm still trying to place and put my finger on how are we going to get to the Master Chief that we know? How do we take this character and go from here to there? Now, no spoilers because some people haven't seen it, but there's certain things that have not been introduced yet. And I'm curious to see how that's going to have an effect. And we're getting a little bit more out of the character in this human side than I think we've ever gotten from any of the previous Halos. And that's kind of where the conflict is coming in. And no, I absolutely agree. He was in the suit for all 5 games, and that's kind of my thing. Like they've
done more gimmicky stuff for longer in TV shows before. Where you have someone who like you never see their face for this, or they never take off this like t-shirt, or they never do, like, especially for visual gags alone. I mean, that's been a thing for a long time. That's been a very long used trope. I think they absolutely could have reintroduced that trope to a whole new audience for the TV show. I don't think they needed to, sit there and like immediately here's what he looks like to have the show actually like pick up. That could have been a really good thing to have people at least hang on towards the end till the end of the first season and have it be a season finale thing. Rather than here's what he looks like right now.
But this is a good point that he had no time. So in games 1 through 5, it was kind of like boom, 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 boom. And
no, there was times at the ends of the games. They set it up to make it seem like, look.
No, I want to say at the end of
here he is taking his mask off, but then the camera goes out.
At the end of 4.
They had time.
No, isn't it at the end of 4 where he is sitting on the plane with Cortana and you see the helmet on the side next to him, but they like cut the camera away.
At the end of 2, if I recall correctly, David, correct me if I'm wrong, it might be 1. But you see him, that same thing I just described. He's reaching to take the helmet off and the camera zooms out and goes outside of the ship before. Yeah, so they've had time. It's not like they haven't had time to take the mask off. They have. They've just chosen not to. And I think, like I said, I believe it's a very strategic reason. And it's the same thing that Bungie went for when they made Destiny. Instead of having it be a specific character, you could create your own character. And I think that's what they originally wanted to do. But it was easier with the writing and the storyline to have it be a specific character, especially because online stuff was still in its infancy at that time.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's definitely, it hasn't run me off in between all the games he went to sleep. He sleeps in the armor though. That's the thing. It's fully contained.
His baby soft skin.
Right. It's fully contained. It's like a spacesuit. He doesn't have to take it off. He press a button and it expels. No, I don't know.
Yeah. Like the writers could have paid more respect to the source material But for the
all I
sake
want.
of that story that they chose to write in that moment, I feel like that was kind of his only course of action.
Oh,
That
I
doesn't mean
have
the
a message for David really quick. David, David, can you grab me another drink from the fridge, please? Thanks.
You're by the fridge.
It's on the other side. I have to get up and go all the way around my computer, take off my headphones.
You know what? I'll let you go into the
monitors.
green room. I can let you go into the green
No,
room.
it's okay. He can show off his cookie pants.
Gotcha. I will agree with you, Jeff. I think under the circumstances
you can
and
just grab
for
it
the
out of
story,
the box. It's fine.
It does fit for the story. And much like you said, episode 2, it would have been real challenging to do that episode without already getting past that hurdle. I think episode 2 might have even had an appropriate time that would have fit better. That could be argued. So, but that's the thing. And again, ultimately it just comes down to I have yet to get the spirit of Halo in this show. This is a standalone sci-fi action adventure thing that I'm enjoying so far, but I don't really know that I can call it Halo. And that's really my only complaint. And it just goes back to I don't really know that they have fully captured the spirit of Halo. And I'm still waiting for that. If it's 343 Studios, it's Halo. Like, I need at least one time for some action sequence, and I need to hear the Halo theme. And I hadn't heard the Halo theme, not yet. And that's by itself is blasphemous. But yeah, that's what that is. What else is happening in geek news? What is the other?
Feel free. It's not really geek news, but I just posted a meme in the group specifically for you. You're welcome.
Specifically for me?
Yes.
Is it the photo?
It's not the photo.
That's
a regular
for those
salad.
Of you who are not, if you happen to be joining us directly on Twitch or through our YouTube, click the QR code right over there by Jeff so you can join us on our Facebook group where you can see all these wonderful memes and where we get a lot of this discussion, a lot of these topics and talking points. That's where we are. Okay. If you haven't done so, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe so that you can find out whenever we post all of our piping hot new content.
Spicy.
Yes.
Okay, so
episode 2.
I was gonna bring up Sonic the Hedgehog coming out this weekend, but
okay, Ty will come back to that. I like that. Episode 2, Moon Knight. We will touch on that, try to do that spoiler free as well.
So who's excited for not only Idris Elba in this movie, but also Shamar Moore? Let's go. David, I don't even need you with me in the theater. I'm sorry. You can stay home. Yeah. I'll be well taken care of. Thank you.
Yeah, that is funny. Fuzzy, you know what? So Knuckles, Sony desperately trying to launch their own MCU, the Spideyverse. Oh, Mobius. Yeah, we gotta
talk about Mobius.
I got.
Jeff definitely wants to talk about some Mobius.
I haven't seen it. I'm probably not gonna see it.
I need to.
It sucks. It's probably a good thing for Marvel because they can reach their hand in and say they can say, "We gave y'all a chance. Y'all did your little thing with Venom. That was cool. We let him come over, be in our little MCU thingy thing for a minute. So if we need to snatch him through a Doctor Strange portal, we can do that." Morbius, not cutting it. Like, Kevin Feige got to find a way to get Spidey back, and they gonna be on Sony's ass about the fact that whatever this universe they are trying to build is just not gonna. It's not gonna work if you got to compete against a Tom Holland Spider-Man. You gonna introduce a new person?
Y'all can't compete against my Tom Holland Spider-Man. Listen, David, I don't need you for those movies either. Thank you.
Yes.
David's
David and I gonna go watch some anime. We'll be good.
Right. I might just
David,
chill
go
by myself,
watch some anime. No, like okay,
Konosuba.
so honestly, so I need to see Morbius, but from what I've seen, just from reading reviews and things like that, it kind of boils down once again to Leto, which makes me sad. But from what I can tell, because we did touch on him last week,
Right.
and
Right.
David, go watch the Aunt May movie by yourself. I'll go watch Spider-Man by myself.
I'd watch an Aunt May movie.
Anyway, so
Do a
like
prequel and let me see Uncle Ben.
I feel like Leto has gone beyond just method acting and has made it just obnoxious. So that's my theory as to why his superhero movies specifically haven't been doing super well. That being said, I like the kind of rewrite, and I'm in the absolute tiny minority of these people, but I do like the rewrite of how they wrote Joker and Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad. Specifically Suicide Squad, and not how they changed it for follow-up ones where they broke up and yada yada. The reason why that was one of the few that's one of the only iterations in TV or movie of Harley Quinn and Joker that hasn't been a completely disgusting, one-sided, abusive relationship. Joker actually seemed to give a shit about Harley. And not just give a shit, but give so much of a shit to where he would risk his own life to save her multiple times throughout Suicide Squad. And would actually, you see him in the movie mourning the fact that she's gone.
Yeah.
And trying to plan to bust her out. Where would he care in any other form for the most part? At least as far as movies or TV shows go? No.
Not in the animated series.
Yeah. He would just be like, okay. Let me just
even in the comics, I think he replaced her. So
yeah. So I liked David, I have to explain this to David every now and then. We'll talk about this kind of stuff. And I'm like, one of my favorite Jokers is actually Leto's Joker. Specifically because his relationship with Harley is one of the only on-screen relationships that's not toxic. He genuinely seems to care about her. So
yeah, he was also of all of the we're not going to get into a discussion of Jokers, but he was a different portrayal, and I think his portrayal matched the energy of the Batman that he was facing.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%.
I don't think that enough credit goes to that part of it, as he was very much gangster Joker, and
he matched the theme.
Yeah,
he matched that theme of Gotham. It was a more of a modern day Gotham, where you're not going to have the gangsters like
put him up, say
Robert De Niro kind of thing, or no, you had a more modern take on it, and I think he did a great job with that. And people are just so quick to jump on that train because they like that original set of photographs that came out of him as Joker are just seared into people's brains.
I mean, I think the idea.
I think how he looked in the film took away from it. For me, I think if he would have looked different, I probably could have got more out of that performance. But
here's the thing about Joker for me. I'm just tired of seeing him.
That's true too.
True. You would think that Batman's only villain is the Joker. The way they are, the way that the Joker has a fucking chokehold on goddamn Hollywood.
I mean,
they don't know what to do.
They're coming along to the point where now I believe.
Can I see a Hugo Strange movie? Come on now.
See, I got a whole pitch for Hugo Strange, and ironically, it actually involves that deleted scene of the Joker from the new Batman. Replace the Joker character in that deleted scene with Hugo Strange. You almost don't even have to change the dialogue.
Bro, I forgot that was even a thing. Holy shit.
But like as far as Jokers go, like for me, favorite Joker is Jack Nicholson. Period. Then honestly, once again, hot take, Jared Leto. I like Jared Leto as Joker. Now that I'm talking about specifically on-screen Batmans. Because obviously Mark Hamill, like king of animated Jokers, of like voice Jokers. But yeah, Heath Ledger did a phenomenal job. Yes. But I liked the take of Suicide Squad Joker more so than Dark Knight Joker. Because Dark Knight Joker, in my opinion, took an easier route in how he was portrayed, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could have very easily predicted, okay, he's going to be like this. As just those first little couple things of woe is me, I had a bad past, I had an abusive childhood, yada yada. Okay, so you're probably going to be like this, and this, and it's very easily predictable. Whereas Suicide Squad Joker, pretty unpredictable with the way he acted with his thing, with what he did in the film. Aside from the only thing that was predictable was his protection and his love for Harley Quinn. So those all tick off like the nice things in my brain, the pretty lights that make me go, ooh, I like that.
But I think honestly that point actually kind of ties in with Jack Nicholson being your favorite Joker, because Jack Nicholson gave us a nice balance of on-screen hilarity, but sheer unpredictableness.
Oh yeah, like that's why I didn't even bring him up, because he's the golden standard there. Like, but at the same time, I never want to see another Joker like him again, because we already have him.
Right.
I'd like if we have to have more Jokers.
No, we don't. That's the thing.
If we have to have more Jokers.
I want a good 6 movies.
Different kinds of Jokers. I want different Jokers. I
want to go a good 6 Joker. Batman movies without seeing the fucking Joker. I'm so sick of seeing the Joker. I'm tired. Can we do something else?
I really like Scarecrow.
Wrong character to be propping
up. Can we do? Oh my god! Can we do a fucking Scarecrow movie?
A better Scarecrow.
Can we do something that's not the goddamn Joker?
I did like dude who portrayed Scarecrow before.
Can we do
Cillian Murphy?
Any of Batman's Rogue Gallery?
That being said, honestly,
that's not the Joker.
Can we do?
Or Bane. I feel like they're starting to get somewhere with Bane, and I don't
Bane.
Like it.
Bane.
Please don't.
Can we do Mr. Freeze?
I'll be down for Mr. Freeze.
Better yet, give me a Mr. Freeze and like the Penguin mashup. They're both cold.
And give me Poison Ivy.
I mean, honestly,
bad choices, Bruce.
Here's the thing. If we're being honest, there's more than one villain in Gotham.
Yeah.
And sometimes he got to deal with multiple threats at a time.
Can I see some Red Hood shit?
No, look. You put Hugo Strange over on top of not on top, but put him in charge of Arkham, right? We know Arkham exists because that's where Riddler ended up. That's where Joker already was. So you put Hugo Strange there. He's working there. And secretly, he's got a thing where he's trying to like figure out who the Batman is, because the Batman's still new. And in his mind, it's a great case study for an individual. Mm-hmm. Let that be his whole thing. He's like, Batman comes to him to get psych profiles and psychoanalysis and advice and this, that, and the other, because obviously Hugo's good at what he does. He's really, really smart. But secretly, Hugo Strange is like plotting against Batman the whole time. And then it becomes a battle of wills between the two of them. It's like, does he find out? Does he know? How does he get around that? Mm-hmm. Then, because it's Arkham, you've now got Riddler in there. You've now got Joker in there. Penguin exists, right? Mm-hmm. So just like he was saying how the character in the deleted scene, Joker was saying like, oh, he's got a thing for you. Like, you know, basically saying that you created this person. He's coming out to be like you. You've got on a mask, so he put on a mask. He's a fan of yours. Let these other villains, these other super villains, let them come out and get their introduction. And it needs to be more than one. That's where we get our Mr. Freeze. That's where we get our Poison Ivy. They are in Gotham. So now we've got Catwoman. We've got Catwoman, Riddler, Hugo Strange.
Listen,
we can introduce.
Can we get?
But she's only in Bloodhaven, which ain't far.
So what about Hush?
So.
Okay, I've got 3, right? Hush.
The problem with Hush,
Solomon Grundy, and Onomatopoeia.
Ooh, oh man, Solomon Grundy would be awesome.
I think the only issue I have with Solomon Grundy is you have to get to a point where you can introduce.
He would be one that's
fantasy element.
Yeah, he would be one that's like, he wouldn't be like, if it's like a trilogy of movies or whatever, he wouldn't be villain in first movie. He'd be villain in second or third movie, because they'd have to establish the area that it's all set in. They'd have to establish that first.
Well, not only that, but you also have to you have to make magic a real thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And given that they've done such a great job of grounding and making this so realistic, and they've taken out a lot of the fantasy element,
I could see them very easily tweaking it to be more of like a voodoo thing rather than a fantasy element.
Well, see,
they've made bigger leaps. Yeah, they've.
Well, see,
here's exactly. So here's the fix.
Here's the fix for that, though. Here's the fix for that. If you want to incorporate magic and start incorporating magic and shit into this, Ra's al Ghul. Fix that immediately.
So with and then with Onomatopoeia, that also gives you room to introduce Green Arrow into the Batman universe or into the universe.
We don't need Green Arrow here.
Oh, okay.
Damn. Okay. Shit. Like that.
Nah,
like that.
Green Arrow got his own thing. Stay over there. Do Green Arrow stuff over there.
Green Arrow don't like when Batman. Batman don't like when Green Arrow be around sometimes because
Green Arrow will call Batman on his shit real quick.
Exactly.
See, but that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it interesting, though. That's one of the things that people loved about the Marvel movies is the fact you had Captain America to call out Iron Man on his bullshit.
No, I agree, and I hope
you have someone there to call the rich dude and be like, "Yo, rich dude."
Which is funny because Oliver Queen is also the rich dude.
Right. Still, he's the other rich dude.
The other rich dude. Listen, my yacht is bigger than yours.
What are you going to do in the second movie, though? I would love to get to all these places. I want to see Green Lantern and Green Arrow driving across the country, beating up the KKK. I want to see all this stuff happen. But we got to get past one movie that establishes so it's like when we're talking about the second Batman movie, if we can want to introduce magic, I'm fine with that. Bring in Zatanna. And that we don't even have to go back the Ra's al Ghul route because we still Batman Begins over there.
And if they want to go even darker,
if you bring in Ra's al Ghul, that sets you up later for Red Hood.
Yep.
Like if they want to even go darker, because that's kind of what it seems like they're going for anyway, is like a super dark Batman. Throw in Dollmaker.
Yeah,
but it's like talking about Red Hood. We haven't even had Robin yet.
True.
That's where I'm at on earning it. You know what I mean?
And I get that, but obviously they're going to tired of Ra's al Ghul, agree, and Ghost Killer. Okay, truthfully, we could go to really introduce magic. We could go Justice League Dark, bring in Deadman and Constantine. That's your Zen.
But I think the other thing you got to realize too is that DC got to earn the trust of the non-geek fan. They've made a lot of bad movies that people have spent bread on and enjoyed. And when you start you sitting in a pitch meeting, you could throw out. I guarantee you, some of these names have been thrown out, and somebody's like, "What about Joker?" And the guy who said that is the one who hits the green light on your film. So it's until they can establish we can make quality, consistent, good movies, the studio's not going to let them dig into these characters, and they'll be concerned that the public is not going to be on board with them venturing out because you haven't earned everybody's trust. Like that would be like if Marvel said, okay, after Iron Man, we're gonna make Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like, who is this? We don't know these people. But it's like after you make Avengers and you got 10 or whatever movies under your belt before they made Guardians, like everybody knows, okay, like we've already resuscitated Captain America, a character that a lot of people didn't really care about. We've already, introduced Iron Man, a character people didn't really care. Like we're making people care about characters that haven't been cared about in a long time in comic books outside of the comic geek, right?
Right.
Because other than that, because people care more about X-Men. So they did all that, and then they said, let's go into the archives. But it's like DC keep trying to like run before they crawl, and they end up falling on their face. You take a couple good steps, and you're like, I got it. And it's like, nah, you don't, man. Slow down.
Like,
I don't need these training wheels.
You know what would be really interesting is if in the next Batman, whoever the new person is, the new villain, like main villain, if they added an Echo and Query as like, hey, we want to help basically get revenge because they got rid of, they put Riddler in, he put Riddler in jail, and he was our guy. We helped him with everything. They introduced these other characters that were working behind the scenes. And just like, I think that would be a good, if they got additional characters from the DC universe and kind of tacked them on in a smart way to more popular characters in the DC universe in future films to kind of help transition people and to gain that trust. Plus, they're already getting good characters. And as long as they pay attention to the source material, they can potentially do them justice as well. So they can help gain more of that trust from people. Plus, they'll gain like having like niche characters anyway will also help with like, oh, like I'm a huge comic book Batman fan. I know who these people are. I'm very excited that they're in this thing, and they did a good job with portraying them. That's more positive word of mouth. And you'll have people who will rate the whole thing, the whole movie, fantastic alone for including them in a good way.
I definitely think that is one angle to pursue. And having those side players attached to established names will make a difference, because I kind of see Jeff's point as far as like the person that's funding the movie, the executive producers, the people who are cutting the check, they're like, who do you want to bring into this? What character? And who are they? Because if nothing else, like Batman is a well enough known name that they don't really have to do much in the way of origin story. Just like everybody knows Peter Parker's Uncle Ben died, and that's kind of what turned him into Spider-Man. Spoiler alert if you didn't know that already. But that's kind of the same thing for Batman. Most people are probably familiar in general with the character of Batman. And as a result, the first person that comes to the mind of the average person, like Jeff always say, if you ask my grandma who Batman fights, only person she knows is Joker. That's the name that comes to her mind. So that's part of why they continuously use Joker. And that's where they keep going back to, because that's the well that's established that they know. It is not as easy to take some of these lesser known characters. And even if you go back to the old Super Friends and the old, I can't even call it the Justice League, but the old, cartoons, Challenge of the Super Friends and things like that. That's where the most you saw Joker, Riddler, Scarecrow, Catwoman. That was it. Those were the people you saw. Mr. Freeze didn't come along until we started getting like the cartoon. He became a big player in the cartoon. He's a big player in the games, and Batman the Animated Series, thanks to Bruce Timm. That's the reason why Flash's first movie is Flashpoint. Exactly, because it's what people know. Flash, Flashpoint. And so going off the idea of what's popular, what sells, if I got to cut a check, I need to cut a check that's going to get bust in the seat to recover my money. And Linda's your idea could work as long as we have some of those established characters and we can introduce. But once we introduce that character has to have enough of an impact in that movie to stand up. Now, the Schumacher films, crazy as they were, I love the idea that we had multiple villains, not just one villain, that the villains were kind of doing a team up thing. And even the ones that weren't teaming up, Mr. Freeze had his agenda. Poison Ivy had her agenda. Bane was in there. Like that.
That's when they should use Solomon Grundy right there.
You see, and it's like having those multiple characters and having the big spectacle of all of these characters and all these different dynamics are working out. That's kind of how it goes. And so I think now that we have this very, very realistic portrayal of a dark detective, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that seems like it's going to be a little bit more difficult to revisit that fantasy element. And I think that's where it's going to be kind of hard to bring in a Solomon Grundy. Because honestly, even Batfleck would have had a better chance going up against Solomon Grundy because he had a dude who could fly in his movie.
So in that case, you would want to bring on more people or more villains similar to Joker, where he actually has to investigate and think about.
I'm absolutely good with the think piece.
Or not Joker, sorry, Riddler. Where he has to
that's why
think about stuff like,
That's why I think Hugo's Strange, because that becomes a battle of wits.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
They're looking for more witsy stuff.
I think even still with the Hugo Strange thing, he's introducing different types of villains. Because last time when we talked too, we were kind of talking about the physique element and how we expect him to add that as needed. And so one of these villains, if Hugo Strange is building a team and he's just like, this dude is like outthinking all my guys, maybe we need to, apply a different sort of pressure. Then you can bring in some of the heavy hitters because you could do like a Killer Croc where it's not fantasy, it's like science experiment gone wrong or something like that.
Even with Solomon Grundy, he's zombie. I don't put zombies in the same category as fantasy. Zombies, because they've been so popularized in our culture, our mainstream culture. Like you could very easily describe it as something more of a sciencey thing. They could write it into something like that. That being said, from what Sam is saying, I think maybe something along the lines of Mad Hatter with like Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Yeah.
As well. I think that because that would give you a full little team there and everything against him, where you have battle of wits and you also have, physical as well in there.
Victor Zsasz.
Yeah.
Because that's straight up serial killer there. Victor Zsasz, Professor Pig. There's a number of
with the puppet, the ventriloquist.
The ventriloquist.
You have Scarface.
Yeah. Scarface and the dummy. Scarface
He's like a cry.
All of these people these are all like think villains, you know what I'm saying? And even if you were just to go
Mad Hatter with Scarecrow. Yeah.
If you were to look at like Batman's smartest criminals and go down the list like that, believe it or not, Bane is actually on that list. And that could be an introduction to the character. And this could be where he beats him the first time. But you know what? I agree with you, Alex. Mad Hatter and Scarecrow would be a very trippy movie. That might even be a little psychedelic trying to sit in there and watch that.
I will say, as far as like introducing like Poison Ivy or something along in there, like
I would love to see Poison Ivy.
I would rather them forego any and all major female players until they figure out how to properly fit a female Batman major character into modern day media without it being misogynistic. because as someone who loves Batman, I love Batman. So many female characters in the Batman franchises are written very obviously written by a man, like, or written from that point of view or whatever. It all is written to appeal towards men. And I'm a little tired of it. I'd much rather forget it exists altogether. And I hated how Catwoman was written in this latest one, because she was literally just a hot piece. She didn't really contribute anything that was, of any kind of actual use, aside from sexy woman, do sexy woman things. Cool. Okay. And that's it.
She had the whole side story with,
but it wasn't really paid any attention to. It was all left, bless you. It was all left very much open to interpretation, including the whole thing of, oh, the chick that she's really like, her friend that she's super, concerned about. It's slightly hinted at that they're lesbians. Oh no, maybe she's actually bisexual. That's super hot. Just the way the whole thing was written is just kind of like, okay, that could have been done better. You didn't need to, because like it very much played it off as this is someone that is potentially even a lover, from how concerned she was for this person and the way she was acting towards it, and then without even knowing that whether or not her friend is dead yet. Without her knowing any of that, she makes out with Batman. I'm like, okay, so what was the whole? This was just fodder for the men in the audience, or I can't really just say men, because whoever would find this attractive in the audience. Like, was there any point to this? Like, okay, is that just how she is? So I don't know. I wouldn't. Yep. I would completely forgo seeing any other women brought into it unless they were written properly.
Well, that they're. So my counter to that would be like, as long like if they were to adapt like the more, I guess I say the more recent, the more recent like Harley Quinn storylines, because like most of those, if not all of them, were written by women or queer people in general, and those are written very well.
Oh yeah. Like, and there's a huge difference between the stuff that's been written more recently.
Harley Quinn animated show.
There is a huge
even well, I'm talking more about the comics, but even the show still,
yeah.
Okay.
There's a big difference between the two, so they'd have to get on writers from that, and I don't even necessarily need it to be Harley Quinn. Just
well, I mean,
more so like if we're gonna, I'm using it as an example
in the room. Let's have a woman at least in the room when you're writing this stuff.
Yeah,
like,
well, I think in fairness, you can't even just say have a woman in the room. You have to have the right woman in the room, because some women are just going to be like, how does be in the room?
I know it's
just grab T. Franklin. Just grab T. Franklin and call it a day.
Like honestly, anything's better than what they currently have, because right now they're not even at a LaCroix flavored women here. There's not even that. There's not even like there was a woman who walked by while they were writing this. There's not even that.
You gotta be stopped.
If we at least had a LaCroix flavored writer in there where a woman walked by while they were writing her lines, we probably would have had less sexist undertones than we actually got, but we didn't even get that. So
all right, we got one more joining us on the stream tonight. While we got him, this is other Jeff. We're gonna call him Miller, so we don't get confused. Or actually, it's always been Jeff and Jeffrey, so that should make it pretty easy. Jeff, welcome to the stream. What's going on, man? So, first off, how was trivia? Did y'all win?
No.
Damn, every week I'm gonna ask, and I need you to come in with some wins.
Usually we do place in the top 3 and get some kind of gift card or something, but
right, that's 2 weeks in a row now. See, look, stop rushing to get here and win trivia. Okay, that's what needs to happen. So just catching up real quick, we were kind of going through like possible future Batman villains and who we could use, who we can't use, why this person, why that person, things like that. And Linda, she brought up a character, Solomon Grundy, and we were discussing how to bring Solomon Grundy in, since he is in fact reanimated corpse. That technically makes him villain, in which case, that is no longer. See, to me, I was like, oh, that fantasy element, we got to bring in the supernatural, that kind of thing. But technically, zombies could be a complete biological thing at this point,
Could be look at Last of Us. It could be scientific.
Yeah. So it's definitely an option there. Linda has given us very good reason why we are not bringing any female characters in for the time being. And we talked about some things. We've also, we've covered a good bit. We've kind of jumped around.
Tobey Maguire has to play any replacement that you have for any other DC characters, especially if you're trying to go for an emo element. Ask me Tobey Maguire or no one else is how it is. That's the only acceptable substitute.
And it has to be Bully Maguire, the emo version. So.
Yes. It has to be my Chemical Maguire.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Spider-Man rejects version.
So I'd been paying attention here and there as I got home and was getting ready to get on. And I had mentioned in comments about Mask of the Phantasm, which is one of my favorite Batman movies, although it is animated.
Yes.
I think the reason I loved it so much is because it was not a known villain.
Exactly.
There was the reveal at the end and all that stuff. It's how old is that movie now? So spoiler alert, I believe it's been a long time since I've seen it, but wasn't it a female behind the mask?
Yeah, it was like his girlfriend.
Yeah. And I think part of the reason it was so good is because it wasn't the Joker. It wasn't the Riddler. It wasn't Scarecrow, someone that we've seen hundreds of times in other shows. I mean, I love the Scarecrow on Titan. I thought they did a great job giving him a crazy psychological element to his whole story arc there with the Red Hood. And I don't want to spoil it for people because it is new. But the whole arc that they did with his character and some of the other characters in Titans was amazing. And to bring out a villain either out of the recesses of DC's history, which there's so much to pull from. Don't do another Joker. Don't do, I like Solomon Grundy, but like you said, there's a little bit of setup there. You've got Clayface. You've got Hugo Strange. You've got some of these lesser known villains. Have them team up. Have them be a cabal or the I believe it's the Court of Owls. I'm not as well versed on Batman.
Court of Owls. But Court of Owls is its own standalone group, and you would not need to use established villains because that is actually a cult-like sect that is already established. That's your Illuminati. That's your Gotham Illuminati, and you don't have to use any established villain for that part. I feel like the only reason we really can't use Hush, because somebody had mentioned that one earlier.
That was me.
Well, somebody in the comments also. But I think the only reason we can't really use Hush is because there were a lot of elements pulled from this first story with Robert Pattinson's Batman that had the trace elements from that story. And we would now have to go back and reestablish a childhood friend. And given that, spoiler warning, everybody here seen Batman?
No, but I don't.
I have.
It's not a Superman movie, so I'm not worried about spoilers.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Good job. Good job.
So you've seen the frivolous movies. You still need to see the important ones. Okay.
Hey, I at least wore a Batman shirt in support of what we were talking about, okay? So
I'm gonna let it slide this time, but I need you to fix that next time.
My Superman shirt was dirty, actually. That's the only reason I have this
I
one
don't know
on.
if I have any Batman stuff within arm's reach. I usually do.
At any rate,
Pikachu.
You have the element where it kind of seemed implied that Riddler, having been an orphan, is there any idea or any thought to who might have been his father? Maybe the journalist guy?
I thought you was about to say Thomas Wayne. I was gonna say, you know.
Come on now, do better.
Now, question just for the uninitiated here. Thomas Wayne, did he actually cheat on Martha Wayne, or was it just implied that I mean, I've seen Joker. I've seen every Batman movie.
And that's a one-off story. There's never been another storyline that I can recall of Thomas Wayne stepping out.
Okay.
In fact, the storyline with Hush had to do with Thomas Elliot. And Thomas Elliot was a friend of the Waynes. And basically it was like...
Okay, so quick Google search. Thomas Wayne was the only living descendant of the Wayne family, and he married Martha Kane. Together they had a son named Bruce. 3 years later, after being involved in a car accident, Martha prematurely gave birth to another son, Thomas Wayne Jr. Officially, the baby only survived for one night, but a mysterious figure would enter Bruce's life later, claiming to be the long-lost brother. That's about it. That's all we know. So there you go.
So the character of Hush is basically a guy who his dad was a surgeon, and you know it was a thing that happened, and the Waynes were blamed for it. And Thomas Elliot grew up without his father as a result, and has always had a chip on his shoulder because of that. He knew stuff that because he had like close personal knowledge of the Waynes and this, that, and the other, he was basically able to deduce and figure out who Bruce Wayne really was. And he used that knowledge along with his smarts and everything to go on this whole little ordeal to basically try to take down Batman and like break him mentally, physically, spiritually, the whole nine. And Hush is a fantastic story. So I'm gonna need more than one.
See, and that's one of the reasons why I brought up Hush. I feel like Hush they already have their establishing storyline for Bruce. We know who he is. We know what's going on. Oh, hi, Jack. David, why'd you steal my dog?
Because he hears you and he's trying to be out there.
He's like, where's mom?
He's trying to also like yeet himself off of my shoulder.
Everyone, that's handsome Jack. He's a little 5-pound chihuahua. He's the best thing in the world. But yeah, so as far as also, yeah, Hush, I believe, if I recall correctly, one of the reasons why he has a chip on his shoulder about the Waynes is because he was trying to kill his parents, and Batman's dad,
Thomas Wayne, the surgeon,
kept him from doing so. Something along those lines. It's fuzzy. It's been a while since I've done anything with there. I've looked into any of that or read anything with it. So yeah, I'm not as familiar with comic book lore that I am with other medias as far as Batman goes. But I feel like Hush would be, especially if they're going towards that detective slash psychological jump for Batman or approach with these new Batman movies. I think Hush would be a great villain for that. That being said, they already have in mind what they're going to do and who they're going to bring in and what's going to happen. So,
I think Hush could be good. I think Quarterbows could be good too, because I feel like it could play on the whole part where it's like they're trying to find out what happened to the money that was supposed to be
Sam,
allocated.
I thought you were going to get your dog too, Sam. I got excited for a second.
I was actually looking to see if my copy of Hush was over here so I could just thumb through real quick, but it's not, so I apologize.
That's what Google and 3 extra screens are for. That's what that is. I can look it up.
Hold on, this is just for you, Linda.
You have dog. I need dog. Look at that dog. That is a good dog. I just want love. Why won't that dog love me, Sam? I just want her to love me.
She's gotten a lot calmer now, and she probably would.
Okay.
And because I did the come here call. Come here. The other mascot, the other fur baby. Nope, he's saying no. He's not trying to hear it.
Maybe. I don't have any dogs with me. No, none of my dogs are with me for once. Usually I have at least one.
This is Prince-topher. This is our cat Prince.
See, David has all my dogs. I'm very sad.
So back to topic here. The animated Hush movie was a little different, and I liked the twist they used for the animated Hush movie. And it's kind of interesting because I thought it would be maybe we were going to do something like that this go round, and it was also kind of one of those things that was in there. And so there's no question that Hush is actually like a fantastic villain in a general sense. But I think the story that comes with Hush as a whole, it needs more than just a single movie. It would do well to be a two-parter, maybe not a full three-parter, but at least a two-parter. And yeah, because it's another think piece and it requires a certain amount of detective skills and things like that, it would definitely, work out.
Yeah.
He is one of those, like, he's a genius intellect, so we're good there. He himself is a great physician, and he's got the same physique basically that Batman has, where they would he's not a metahuman, but he would be what they call like peak human physical capability. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
Olympic level athlete and such. He could go toe to toe. He could throw hands with Batman and it wouldn't be a problem. And given that we have a Batman that is definitely somebody that's easier to put your hands on, it would make for a good fight. And I think because he has that, brain power, it does work well to give us that challenge, and we could do a little bit more, make it a little bit more of a think piece as opposed to just, I'm Batman, boom, 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 punch, punch, punch. So, I would be good with Hush as well. So I mean, we certainly have there's a number of people outside of Joker that would be available, and it's just a matter of finding somebody who's got enough popularity. And honestly, that was why I made mention of Red Hood, just because I think Red Hood has got enough of a following where enough people have heard that. Granted, Robin, everybody knows Robin because he's Batman and Robin, so obviously he's there. But you could come in and introduce him as Robin. Do you have to do Nightwing in order to do Red Hood? The story could be adapted. I feel like they would probably go Nightwing next just because they've already, Do
you trust them to adapt?
They've already name dropped Bloodhaven because that's where Selina's headed to. And, I think this is going to be one of those things where like they may skip over Dick Grayson.
And I honestly think that part of the issue with the Batman stories nowadays is that they're not putting any twists on it. They're telling stories that we've heard a bunch of times before. Yeah, they might put one or two minor details in there, but they're not really messing with the canon, so to speak. They're not changing things up. They're not adapting. Like, for example, I have to at least give props to the MCU with this, is they've taken several characters that we've known and switched them up enough to where they're fresh for someone like for people that follow superheroes like we do. Some of us follow in comics, some of us follow in animated, some of us follow in movies, or just in general. Like, I have general knowledge, but even with my general knowledge of Batman, I know who the Scarecrow is. I know who the Joker is. I know a lot of these characters that have been portrayed over and over and over. And like someone was saying earlier, I think it was you saying, like the average grandma knows who Batman is nowadays. But for those people going to see this movie 2, 3, 4 times, like some of us, give us something fresh. Give us a new villain. Like, give us a new take on an old villain.
And like,
switch it up.
Honestly, as far as what that goes, I think that they would have a good, like, it's like what Marvel did, right? So they already have established characters with established movies out, correct? So now introduce new characters and say, hey, it's all part of the same thing, or introduce the characters into an established characters movie and then do their spin-off movie. Like, it's not that difficult. You could absolutely introduce a new Batman movie and introduce a villain that either there has not been represented in media, like in animated media, as in like I guess video media, I should say, or is underrepresented in video media, and people will go see it if you write it well, and if you film it well, people will go see it. You put you have enough like good shots for stuff, and you can make an interesting trailer. People will be like, oh my god, did you see that Batman movie? You see that Batman trailer with the new villain person? Oh, he looks so cool. You don't have to rely on people knowing these characters as a crutch. You already have your main crutch. You have your full wheelchair already, and that is Batman. So any other accessories, you can make that wheelchair look really cool with your other accessories, and people are still going to go see it. Isn't that right, Jack? See, Jack agrees with me. It's a good dog right here.
I mean, you put the right names on the title, and you can make $750 million.
Oh yeah.
And it don't even have to
if
be.
Marvel can make $750 million with Ant-Man, I don't want to hear nothing from DC about not being able to make their money. They just making bad choices, and they trying to walk before they crawl. And it's even the stuff that you suggesting, Sam. I'm like listening, and I'm like, yeah, like they could make a change like that. That's kind of like the same way the Marvel changed Civil War for the MCU. Like there's the meme where it's like the Civil War from the comics versus like 7 people like running at each other in the airport, and it's like, yeah, that's funny, but in the context of that film, it didn't feel small. It didn't feel small when I was watching it in the theater, and it's because they earned it. They introduced those characters at the right time. Some of them they did what Linda was saying, where they introduce you in somebody else's movie, like Falcon, War Machine, all the sidekick guys, whatever. We don't need a solo movie from Spider-Man, first introduction. Black Panther, first introduction. Like, they're introducing people at the right time, and they have a really good rhythm of whether or not we want to introduce somebody in someone else's movie, then give them a solo movie, or go solo movie and integrate them back in. But it's because they have a solid foundation that it's like in art school, they would say, you can't break the rules until you learn them. So it's like when people would try to come in and illustrate like all these like crazy stylized characters, and it's like, that's cool, but your characters don't feel alive or moving because you just want to draw in that style. You don't really want to like make a good solid foundation for your like art as a whole, and then differentiate from that. And I feel like that's what Marvel is able to do because their foundation is good. Like, you can go back to initial like MCU movies, even now to this day, and say like, watch this, and this will inform everything moving forward. With DC, it's like, okay, you can watch the Christian Bale Batman, then you can watch the Bruce Wayne Batman, and you can watch the what's his name from Boston, Ben Affleck. You can watch Michael Keaton, and there's like the foundation is just like wonky, and so then when we start talking, well, we could just adapt this. We could skip over Dick Grayson and just bring in Red Hood. Do you trust them to really make? You trust them? Like, you can do it, but do you trust them to do it?
Oh, I don't trust
that ties in very much with how I don't want to see any more female characters brought to life in these movies until they figure out how to write them properly. Same thing. I don't trust them with them. I don't. Also, David, there might be some echo. I think you left the door open.
It's I don't even know that I necessarily trust them to do well to bring in Robin, let alone Red Hood. And
look at Rosie. David, you got Rosie. That's a
good
song.
Well, it's thundering, so she doesn't
it is thundering. That's
she doesn't like being
Rosie's
by herself.
Really scared of thunder.
I got a question. Out of all the DC movies, now I'm not counting like the one like Suicide Squad is the only one I can think of where Amanda Waller was the same actress. What other continuity has DC tried to establish between all their different franchises? They really haven't. They've all been self-contained movies about that character. They've not tried, like you said, guest spots of various characters. From Suicide Squad was the first one I could think of that had guest spots from other movies. It had Amanda Waller, who was the same actress.
I mean, technically, Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot. Or Gal Gadot. They reprised the same role, multiple films.
After it's too little, too late, though.
Yeah, like after Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League. That was the 3 times we saw Gal Gadot play the same character in each of those. Well, she wasn't in Man of Steel. So Henry Cavill across those 3 movies. Gal Gadot ended up being Diana Prince, Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman, Justice League. I'm not even going to count Snyder Cut as a separate movie because it's, so Justice League. And then she also had Wonder Woman in her last movie. So she's probably had the most time as a character in what would be considered the DC EU. Amanda Waller is perhaps the closest thing they have to something along the lines of a Nick Fury.
Yeah.
And that's because, of course, she's got 2 different Suicide Squads. And because like they haven't really gone on, they have not established that the first Suicide Squad is canon to the current Suicide Squad. So, but if we look at that and we say, okay, she was the same character in both Suicide Squad movies. Well, and even her character did the cameo in Peacemaker to establish she was the same character there. That's so far the only one that's kind of had a crossover effect. Because otherwise,
she was in Suicide Squad. She was in
Suicide Squad, and then she was in Birds of Prey. Yeah, so she's got 3.
She's one I'd keep.
Overall, there's been a very limited attempt to have crossover, though.
Yeah,
but I mean, at the same time, it's been a very limited cinematic run to even have crossover in, and that's part of the point Jeff is making as far as like them not having. They never crawled, and so by the time we get to the third movie, we're already at Justice League. We're already at the big bad saving the planet.
Right. Like when Iron Man first came out and you see Nick Fury like at the end, the Avengers thing is like a suggestion, but it's not the next movie. You know what I mean? Like Batman v Superman is like the first time these dudes meet is like, hey man, it's like, is this Step Brothers? Or like, yeah, do we just become best friends? Let's do Justice League. Like, no, man, like this is not how this works. Like, you gotta. I'm all about earning it when it comes to IP, and if you don't have a foundation to build a world on, it's like you can think about any IP that you can think of there's like foundational elements to those worlds that make things either make sense or not make sense. And the only way you can expand on that is if when you start with your core, the stuff about your core makes sense and people understand it and they remember it. But DC hasn't done that. And until they do, it's just going to be this. And I'm kind of like, I don't necessarily need a DCU, but if they want to just be kind of the one-offs and you want to just give me good one-off movies, maybe Robert Pattinson plays Batman again. Maybe there's a whole other Batman. You want to tell this other different kind of Batman story. I don't care. If you don't care, I don't.
I kind of do. I want the same Batman in multiple movies that builds on a story instead of telling me how his parents died again.
Well, but I think at the same time, we kind of got that this go round where we did not have to examine the death of his parents. We didn't have to see pearls getting snatched. We didn't have to see the gunshot this time. And they did the same thing that, Spider-Man Homecoming did, where they know this character, and we're just going to dive right into the character. By having him as a year 2 Batman, it literally is like, okay, he's new, but he's so new that you don't know who we talk about. And right. I think in doing that, that saved them the time and trouble of having to yet again reestablish these characters and bore us for even if they had done it in the opening credits, I'd have been upset just because it wouldn't have needed to be there at all. So them just skipping right past it and having him talk about it at best was sufficient. I think the only time we truly see any continuity as far as movies is the animated, the DC animated universe, which is in fact like, it should literally be copy paste live action.
And that's the thing about Marvel. They didn't even have a cartoon animated anything to base it off of. They didn't have that cheat sheet. But you have a cheat sheet.
You say that cheat sheet, but at the same time, it's like, while I would be good with seeing this animated thing go live action, because ultimately that's the whole, well, I'm not going to say the whole point, but that is the major point of live action, which is why we want to see a lot of these animes converted to live action. That's why we want to see a live action this or a live action that, because we want it to be more real. We want to have that realism added in to what we're viewing. And
I know.
Not liking that thunder, huh?
No, she's
y'all hearing the thunder picking up on my microphone, and then you get to see Rosie like
cheering on. And so I mean, like, on the one hand, I think it was absolutely detrimental to DC to not just follow the formula that they had that would have been their winning solution, because everybody's always that's kind of been the thing that people agree on, is like the DC animated movies have always kind of nailed it and always kind of killed it. So why not just do that? Live action, do that. But I think at the same time, that's also kind of gave Marvel a little bit of advantage, because there was nothing by which to compare. And so if you don't have anything to compare, you are setting your own standard as you go. And they've had some misses, but for the most part, so long as they stayed the course of what they were doing, it was effective and it worked. When we have, Man of Steel is the kind of movie I believe should have had, it could have had better reception than it actually had. But as we've discussed on our YouTube channel, Therapy, Episode 1, Superman.
Go check it out.
Plug. As we discussed there, it's the way most people think of Superman, the character that they are familiar with, or the character that comes to mind, it varies from person to person. There is no consistent version of that character. The only thing that people have had that has been relatively consistent is Justice League Unlimited, the Superman, the animated adventures. Since that was pretty much the Tim Daly, that same voice, the same character for all of those episodes, all of those seasons, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the closest thing somebody has to an established familiar character. So when you come in and you do this other thing that's new and different, well, that's not what I'm used to seeing. That's not even like the live action Superman that I've seen before. What is this? And it's unfamiliar. So it's new and it's different. And it's like, okay, it got it did okay. And if they had been able to pick up that same energy and move forward in the next movie, cool. Instead, we go right into this other thing. Now we're taking Batman, who's already established, and you're showing me something that I'm not familiar with. So not only am I still trying to get over this not being familiar with the Superman you showed me, now I got to get familiar with this Batman you're showing me. And wait, now they're fighting? So we go right to them fighting. And yeah, okay, they have like some difference of opinion of how things should be done. But it's also kind of a thing like, it wasn't until we got to the New 52 where Superman actually came up and was like, yeah, this little thing you're doing out here, we're not going to keep doing it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the first time Batman and Superman saw each other in New 52, it kind of was a fight. So, but how many people know that? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're taking what we know, and if you're only picking bits and pieces, you're not establishing anything. So yeah, we shouldn't have had Batman fighting Superman until like 4 or 5 movies. It definitely should have been something post Justice League.
And they should have put more space between that and Civil War, because they opened themselves up for the comparisons.
Yeah, true. I mean, it goes without fail. I mean, we've very well established that they've rushed it. We don't need to beat that horse anymore. We all know that that's where it fell. But, you know, that's how I see. It's the only way I see them being able to do this and trying to introduce any new characters in any future movies, be it Batman, or if you want to bring somebody in the Wonder Woman movie, or if you want to introduce somebody in the new Aquaman or the new Shazam or whatever movie that you choose, you know, trying to bring in a new character, the movie that it's in has to be established well enough, and it has to do well enough on its own to be able to support carrying the weight of someone else. Because if it can barely carry its own weight, you don't have space to try to carry anything else.
I've got a counterpoint for that. I believe that Vixen, it started off as a web series. They later introduced the character into the actual live action show on TV. I can't quite remember off the top of my head what show she was introduced to. Legends of Tomorrow. Okay. But they introduced her to the web series. And yeah, I didn't watch them at first because when I was watching Legends of Tomorrow, I was like, who's Dixon? I've never heard. I Googled her, found out there was a web series, went back and watched it, then kept watching Legends of Tomorrow and had a much better appreciation for the character. So they could do something like that where they introduce the villain or one of the lesser known villains for Batman through a web series before the movie comes out. Or they can do something a la Watchmen, because that intro to Watchmen is perfection.
It is.
I literally caught up to what was happening with the Watchmen characters before the movie even started.
Right. And I mean, if you do your intro right, you know, especially like over an old Bob Dylan song, you know what I'm saying? It's the times are changing.
Proven that they can introduce a new character in a unique way or get you up to speed. Which makes me wonder why I feel like Watchmen is like my favorite DC movie so far.
Nah, the problem is like
Batman and Superman.
Okay, so the Batman villains, because this is where this conversation started with the Batman villains. Most of the Batman villains are more complex than a 3-minute introduction.
It doesn't have to be complex for an introduction, though. You can introduce, then you're now familiar with the character. You at least know what they look like, if they have any powers, if they use gadgets or toys like toy maker, like you can introduce them enough to the average person like me, where I'm either going to be intrigued enough to look them up on Google or watch the web series like I did with Vixen.
Nah,
and
I mean,
then
so it would be
time
kind
the
of like
movie comes out, I'm ready.
It would be kind of like for this bad movie if they had been putting out like Riddler, like the videos Riddler was putting out in the movie. If they had been like releasing like promo stuff like that, and the public could have been getting to know Riddler. The problem you run into with that is you can't depend too heavily on it because everybody
fly out and eat your hair.
Is not gonna see that. So for you, for like watching a show, because that works especially with that Vixen character too, because the Vixen in Legends of Tomorrow is like the great grandmother of the Vixen in the miniseries, but like time travel and and other crazy Legends of Tomorrow stuff.
Paradox.
But like it's like, and that goes back into also another problem that I've always said that DC has with its films is expecting like me to come in with like pre-knowledge of like what I'm watching, right? Like unless it's a connected like universe and it's all produced together and I'm supposed to be connecting these things, like you shouldn't as a movie maker expect me to come in and say like, oh well, yeah, he knows this and he knows that, and of course he and comic book people know about this. Like I was telling Sam before you got on, it's kind of like that conversation a lot of geeks who are not married to geeks have with their wives in the car after seeing a movie, and you're like, damn, I'm realizing like a lot of what I was seeing, I was putting together I was putting together my comic book knowledge. And to the Facebook commenter, yes, the Vixen from the miniseries was introduced in Arrow first, and then they gave her a miniseries that was on the C on CW, their like app. But her great grandmother is the Vixen that's in Legends of Tomorrow. She's on like I think 3 or 4 seasons. The actress is on a few seasons, but she plays Vixen for a couple. Then she plays like this other shapeshifter that gets stuck in like Vixen's form for a couple seasons. And yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah.
People who watch Legends know. People who don't watch Legends, like if you're not watching it now, that spaceship has left orbit.
The current Vixen is Mary or Mari or something. And the original or the older Vixen was Amaya, correct? The one who's moving around on Legends versus the one who is part of the Arrowverse.
Amaya is the Vixen from Legends of Tomorrow.
There you go. Okay. So that was and that was the part I know because I know it was Mari or Mary. Forget how to pronounce it. She was the one who was on the she was the one who was on Arrow. Okay. Yeah. I would say that actually real quick, David.
Yep.
Anything you got coming up here? Any other streams that you got coming up?
The current Rosie, I know, ma'am. I know. So currently, the only thing that I really have planned is, I believe on Thursday is going to be the beta for Gundam. I already forgot the name. Gundam Evolution, which is a first-person team-based Gundam game. So I'm going to be playing that when the beta releases, and then after that, it's probably going to be more Persona.
Are we bringing back Sip and Spook or no?
On Saturday?
Yeah,
maybe. Just haven't decided yet. I'm leaning more towards yes, but you got to figure out how we're going to set it up first. But yeah. So Sip and Spook will be coming back. I just have to figure out how we're going to set up the space.
So Sip and Spook Saturdays. If anything else, you can come watch Sip and Spook Saturdays. We need to finish Silent Hill 2. Or David needs to. I've played it through a few times, but David needs to finish Silent Hill 2. So you can appreciate Pyramid Head, David. You need to fully appreciate Pyramid Head entirely. Take him all in, David.
Okay, all right, that's enough of that.
Yeah, I would say a family show, but nah, this is definitely adult content.
And then sometime next week, I'm not entirely sure when. It might not even be next week, but I'm planning to do my first Pokemon Nuzlocke. I just have to pick the game that I want to do, and then go from there.
Okay. Sounds good. Linda, you got anything you're going to be streaming here soon?
Not in particular. Like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. Do anything.
It was the last thing. Like, if I have my way on Saturday, then Final Fantasy 14 will be coming back.
Well, there you go. Oh yeah, if you're able to get everything fixed up with Kevin.
Yes.
And your computer, because that's why you haven't been playing Final Fantasy. But yeah, as far as with me goes, I don't know. It depends on if I feel like actually getting on the computer. Honestly, if I wasn't like at least tipsy coming on to this in the first place, I wouldn't have started tonight, because I would have been like, I need to like put on makeup and make myself look like an actual woman to be on here, instead of coming on here looking like a gremlin creature.
But you had the cute fuzzy ears, so it was okay.
I've got the hair.
More importantly, you know what? You bring valid points.
I throw on some dry shampoo. I bring dry shampoo and valid points.
That's you know what? I drink and I know things. You bring valid points and make good conversation. That's why you're here. Okay.
So,
we wanted a good female character who was not just here as a hot piece.
Well, I'm definitely not the hot piece point. I'll tell you that at least.
She says as her husband's in the chat. You know what? We're not getting into. I told you we're not doing the Will and Jada bit. Okay, David's not going to be trying to open hand me across. We're not doing that. Okay. Moving on. So,
but yeah, as far as stuff goes, like, so I've finished all of the levels for Power Wash Simulator. So if I play anything like that on stream, it'll end up being what's the other one I'm playing? I don't know. David, what did I tell you I was playing? House Flipper. Yeah. I'm playing House Flipper again.
I want to like just load up a few videos for Power Streamer, because I want to see that. So as long as I can go back and see the playback on it, that's all.
You can go on there now. I don't usually save my playbacks, but it should anything I've streamed in the last, like, what was it, David? Like 14 days, a month, something like that.
Yeah, it's telling me you got 5 new
days.
videos.
30 days.
Yeah,
it tells me right now that you've got 5 new videos.
Well, there you go. So yeah, there's some stuff on there. Let's see. Yeah, I've got some Power Wash Simulator on there. There's okay. Some of it's labeled as like other things like The Sims and whatever, but because I probably started with that and then I stopped. Past broadcast, yeah, there's only like 5 that are showing up. One of which looks like it's Power Wash Simulator, but cool. I don't know. If you catch me on there, just like pop in and be like, "Hey, Linda, I want to see a Power Wash Simulator thing." I can probably stop whatever I'm doing and be like, "Okay," because when I stream, I'm mostly just waiting to see if anyone has suggestions or if they just want to watch whatever the hell I'm playing at the time. So
I mean, I'm good for asking questions. I'd be in there like trying to find out, because I ask the questions other people are afraid to ask.
Now I do want to play.
I'd be like, "What is that? How do you use that? What does that mean?"
I do want to play My Summer Car, but like, here's the problem. So My Summer Car, if you don't know what that is, it's a simulator where you are a late, like in your late teens, teenager, at like, I guess your parents' like summer, like little shack area, small house in like super rural Finland. And you have a car that's literally just the body. There is no parts attached to it whatsoever.
You have to earn an engine,
including seats and everything else. No, all the parts are there. You can buy better parts, but all the parts are there. But you have to build the car from the body up completely. And supposedly it's fairly accurate for the old model cars that it's stylized after. So I know teeny tiny little wee bit about cars, but not enough to be able to confidently go into this game and be like, I with my whole chest say that I can build this car.
Yeah, I would not have anything to do with building the car. So
on top of it, not only is it that, but the person you play as has not moodlets, but like they have like levels for stuff. Like you have to keep them alive. They have a hunger meter and
so this is like
a thirst meter, and they have a pee meter.
A car building sim. So you're playing Sims, but the objective is to build your car.
Yes, but you have to make sure your person doesn't die, because you can starve. You can starve to death. You can die of thirst. You can. I don't think you can die of filth, but yeah, you do have a urine meter and you have a filth meter as well. Like if you get too dirty, if you're peeing on yourself, stuff like that. So you have like a sleep meter. You have to sleep.
And what was the name of this game?
It's called My Summer Car.
My Summer Car. So if that's the next one that you're going to stream,
you can
definitely curious to see about.
You could also kill yourself in other ways.
Well, we don't want to unalive ourselves over a car. So I'm curious to see.
Let's say I need to go into town to buy myself some more sausages and beer, so I cannot die. Right. So I jump in whatever vehicle I have that's there. I think you have like 2 or 3 vehicles on site. So I'm like, cool, let me jump in this van that's here. Because you can also you can earn money by doing little odd jobs for the other people in the town that call you to like, oh, I'm drunk, come pick me up from the bar, kind of things, right? So, and just things like, hey, I need you to order this thing, whatever. So you go and
this is My Summer Car. Where does this game take place at?
It's in Finland.
In Finland. So how do you get like a Finland-based summer car repair game? Is this on Steam?
Yes. So you get in your car and you try and drive into town. You're going real fast and you lose control because the controls are worse than Grand Theft Auto. And you go straight into a tree and the screen goes to black and it comes up with a newspaper saying that you died.
So it's a Souls game at the end.
You start over. You either start from like the last time you saved or you start over completely. However you ended up like setting up your save as, because you can save it as once you die. That's it. But
does anyone play Don't Starve Together? I'm not sure.
I used to play it with David back in the day. We played a lot of Don't Starve Together. I'd love to get back on that game again. I just
gotta get back to at least one game of Among Us. We haven't done that in a while.
Don't Starve Together. Sam, just get Don't Starve Together. I'll host the server. It'll be great. It's great.
So hey, I believe we should start wrapping up a little bit sooner. I don't want to keep anybody up.
Last thing with My Summer Car, you have a button you can press on your keyboard where you curse and it's all in Finnish. It's great. Anyway, there's that. I try and say some sort of stupid, obscure-ish game towards the end of each one of these, and this is my one for this one. Is My Summer Car. Go play it, especially if you like car stuff or building cars.
I will be curious to see that one, and I will check into this Don't Starve Together. If you've got we've got a user here. If you've got a server, we can set that up. That sounds like a thing. Maybe we can make that happen. So maybe.
I don't believe you have to even set up servers anymore or have people specifically host servers anymore.
Okay, well, we'll work out the details. Yeah. We'll figure that out. That's easy. Jeff, my man, Miller, what you got happening? What you got going on right now?
I don't know if you noticed, but tonight I'm not on my phone.
I did. So I wasn't gonna call it out, but
I'm working on the headphones next.
Look at you.
So I've been alternating between getting streaming stuff and buying stained glass stuff. So I've got some more stained glass stuff coming in. I bought me a drawing tablet. I've got my cutting boards. I've got some other stuff coming in. So I'm working on getting that finished setting that up. And then I've just been working, man. Well,
I mean, if you since obviously your computer is doing well for the stream and you've got your headphones, maybe something will come your way in regards to a microphone. I just, we'll
I'm
talk
working on it.
offline and we'll see how we can get that going. Because if nothing else, I would really love to like find a day where we can get onto some D&D and make that happen. In this format, we discussed a few things and we saw we could put up we could have a screen share where we have the dice roller, the whole nine, and run some simple rules to do a nice little game, and we could live it like this, and we could have people come in, let the choices be made by the people watching it. There's tons of ways we could make it fun and exciting, and I'm down for it. So we'll talk offline as well. Taylor, Jeffrey, see you over there like draw. Are you drawing or writing? I can never tell with you.
I'm drawing.
Okay,
I've been drawing the whole time while we've been talking.
And I can you share your drawing with us, or better yet, where can people find your artwork? Was this one of your 15-minute sketches?
No. I'm working on a commission. There's a store up in Nashville, and I'm doing their first, like, their 1 year anniversary shirt. So I'm working on that. I did some more work. Well, if you want to see art, my Instagram, JPNT17, my website, jpnt17.com. I've been trying to do like 15-minute sketches daily and then like some 15-minute sketches, warm-ups, and then go into some ink pieces that at first I was like, I want these to be like for an hour, but then as I've gotten better, I've been making better stuff. So I've just been trying to like take my time. Like, I've been working on a static and daisy piece for a couple days. So my latest progress for that is on my Instagram if you're interested in checking it out. But yeah.
Very cool. And I just want to give a shout out. Jeff takes care of all of the graphics that we have. I can't say some. I was like, he did most of it. No, he takes care of all of the graphics that we have.
Aside from my beautiful Photoshop.
Oh, that Photoshop that's top tier. Chef's kiss.
Yes.
That emo Superman. I'm gonna print that out and find somewhere for that to go in here.
Just make it the thing for the episode.
Make it the thumbnail.
The thumbnail.
Oh, there it is. That's exactly what it's going to be.
People are definitely going to click on that.
Right. They'll be like, what the hell? Click. See, always contributed. I love it. So yeah, we want to thank, I am Sam. I'm just, look for me online. I'm in the group. I do this. This is my talk show, and I love this. And I'm glad that we've been able to do this rather consistent, so people have something to look forward to on their Wednesdays.
Can I make Groot?
Always.
I need a person for Flash episode. Not that we didn't talk about him enough, but for therapy. Otherwise, me and Sam are just gonna do it again.
Because at this point, you know what I'm saying, I start researching early if I have to, so I can be ready to discuss it. But and if you're not familiar with what the therapy episodes are, there's 3 episodes up that you can watch to get an idea of how it goes. There will be a new episode of Why Did I Watch That posted up very soon. This time, Denise and I are covering The Contractor. That was a hard episode to record because that movie just like that really sucks. So we were like not feeling even recording, talking about it. It was just such a challenge to do. And then I've got a future episode coming up where Roberto and I watched Blacklight starring Liam Neeson.
Oh boy.
So that was an interesting discussion. Want to thank everybody who's tuned in tonight, who was a part of our conversation. I want to thank Ty, Alex, and a few others who jumped in. There will be another episode probably coming up here soon as we get around to episode 3. Look for a episode 1, 2, and 3 review of Moon Knight. I will probably find somebody if they want to talk about. Thank you.
Probably Sam. You missed on the best one we've had in our comments this whole time. DJ Fat Snacks.
I mean, you know what?
You completely skipped over it. Listen,
I did not. You know what? Charge it to my head, not to my heart, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Like, I assure you that was not the intention. I'm trying to get my Facebook window pulled up so I can see
Sam,
chat.
Sam, he's fellow former GameStop. All right, listen, this is important. This is
very,
family here.
But see, the last time when I specifically called out DJ Fat Stacks, he got mad at me because I threw his government out there. So I was trying to keep him off the radar tonight. I was being mindful of that. So I was trying to do right.
Okay.
I might have said something wrong, and I didn't want to do that. But we thank everybody for being a part of the show. If you haven't done it already, click the QR code so you can follow us everywhere we are. Make sure to go to the YouTube where you can like and subscribe. I know it's one of those things that you hear people say all the time, but let me tell you something. As somebody who is on YouTube, it really does make a difference when you like our videos and when you are subscribed to our videos. It's also important to watch the video. So that would be cool, but at least liking and subscribing is a start. So if anybody can do that, that would be awesome. But that's it for me, guys. I think that's all I got. Nobody else has anything. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank my co-hosts for joining me. For Jeffrey, Linda, David, and Jeff, we have been Grown A Geeks, and this was Weigh In Wednesdays, and we are out of here. Peace.